Now I understand why men want to do things that are not so pleasant to women sometimes.
The idea that like a woman says something and the first thought that comes to mind is, I understand why men hit women, that is a statement that is...
Jennelle, maybe you can lay out another disagreement that you had with Melina, and then Destiny can say how he feels about it.
So I can cut you down really quickly, sweetheart.
Okay, if I was gonna fight back on that, I don't believe that a mom that's actually breastfed would use that insult against another one, because a lot of women have trouble breastfeeding after they've had children. There's a lot of stress.
Also, does having huge fake tits help with breastfeeding?
Your mic is...
Your girl got me off again, or your second girl. No wonder why he didn't marry me.
My girls got other girls off all the time. I know what you mean. Go ahead.
I'm a trans man, actually.
Stop!
Okay, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, I could see that. I could see that. You just had surgery. But yeah, so number 2 always is a little bitter. I get it.
Yeah, I hope she's coming back.
You were like very disrespectful, I must say.
Who's your friend, Destiny?
Laura?
Laura? Is that what you just said? Yeah, it's Lauren. That's my name.
Oh.
It's my name. We don't know each other that well. We're getting to know each other.
Just can't keep track of all your ladies, you know, every time
That's
I see
what it is.
new chick.
I can keep track of her mom, don't worry.
Yeah. Tabs on that ass.
Ooh, yeah.
My mom was dead. Jennelle, you were the one that initially sort of initiated, because you said that you have some disagreement with Melina and Destiny by default. So I'll let you kick it off first. You can just go through your disagreements.
Okay.
And then what we'll do is we're going to give Destiny equal time. So after you get through all your disagreements, he's going to have time to go through all his disagreements that he has with you. But I think it would make more sense for you to go first, since I think you probably know his content better than he knows yours.
I actually don't. Like, I've never watched a video of his. I honestly, I thought he was a woman because, no disrespect, I didn't know you, obviously. In the context of the first time I met your partner, wife, girlfriend, I'm not sure. How should I reference her?
Wife.
Just Melina?
Yeah, wife.
Wife? Okay. Wife. I assumed, because she was quite masculine and very masculine, that you were a woman, because I heard Destiny. And so if you watched, you probably didn't waste that 4 hours of your life. But if you happened to be bored and saw some of the highlights, you saw where I said, that's why you married a woman. And so that's how it all came to be. I honestly don't have any grievances with you, because I really don't know you per se. I've heard about you through the grapevine from some of my colleagues, like Donovan Sharp, Ali, and the list goes on. But I don't know you per se. So I wanted to clear that up, Alex, because clarity is power, correct? And yeah, I don't have, but I think we do have, for the sake of the internet and viral moments, right? We do have very different opposing views, which is great, because in our opposition, we can maybe find common ground or just better understanding or just viral content for you guys that are watching, basically, right? So
All right.
I wanted to clear that up, Destiny. I really have never seen any of your content, but I just, met your wife, and it was kind of unpleasant, actually, fairly unpleasant, and I'm really easygoing. So for me to say that about someone was very, very. Now this isn't Melina, right?
No. Okay.
No.
Not only am I not
Wait,
Melina,
stop.
to call
No,
her.
stop. Okay, sorry. She's a simp. Okay.
No, yeah, I am a simp for Melina.
Stop. Let me have a conversation. You need to stop. Okay. Sorry. Go ahead.
I'm shutting
Yeah. Okay.
So I was just curious. This isn't Melina. I wasn't sure. I didn't want to be talking about you if this wasn't you, but I sat a few chairs down from you, and I didn't think it was you, but I wasn't sure. So I'm old, so maybe my eyes were deceiving me.
You're good.
This is not Melina, for the record.
Yeah. You're
Okay,
good.
She
thank
might have
you.
been confused.
Also,
I'm a masculine.
your audio is still crackling a little bit. Can you fix that, please?
How about now?
That's a million times better. Okay, you know what? Let's do this then. Let's just do a full-on open panel. You guys can just go in whatever order you want. There's no order. Just you can kick it off, Destiny. You can kick it off, Jennelle. If you guys are really lost, it's better.
Is that better?
No.
Yeah, it's better.
No?
No, it's better. It's better. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's better. I just took the headset off, so.
Yeah, you sound good now.
Yeah.
Okay, is that better? I'm
better.
so sorry. I have this kick-ass studio, which I do not know how to use. So normally someone's here to do all this, and today I'm solo. So I apologize. Just let me know if I need to fix something.
No, you're
I'm
good.
really great at things, but left-brained things like this is not my forte.
Yeah,
Which
you're
was
good.
another discussion that Melina and I had.
You're good. All right, guys. So open panel. Just kick it off. Whoever wants to kick it off first. Go ahead.
Yeah, I guess, I don't even know what your primary disagreements are with me or Melina, I guess. We share similar views on most things, so yeah. Wherever you want to start, we can, yeah.
The thing that I think was the most annoying thing about my time there, I literally almost walked off the stage, and I've been on with Adam that was my 5th time on Sauce, and I was about to leave. First of all, it was just way too long. And second of all, I just was so frustrated and annoyed by that energy that I was like, now I understand why men want to do things that are not so pleasant to women sometimes. And I felt that way, and I've never felt that way in my life before. So I was kind of like, wow, this is a very strong, like dominant masculine like energy, and coming from a woman. And so I was inherently shocked by that. I was like, who is this woman? And, and I guess maybe we were battling out, I don't believe in alpha women, but maybe we were battling out for that place on the show, if you will, of who was the more dominant woman. And so I think the thing that was very like alarming to me was that she made men to be out like these docile, just very like helpless, emotional, creatures who like just are, just like helpless, docile, emotional creatures. And I was like, whoa. Like, this is not how a man should be. First of all, like a man should be very dominant, should be kind of what you were, very dominant, very self-controlled, self-assured, present, unmovable, unshakable, kind of like all the qualities she was emitting. And so I was very confused on that play of where she got her views of masculine and feminine polarity and sexuality. And so was I think my main grievance with her, and it drove me quite nuts actually. So that was the main thing.
Yeah. So I just want to say one thing, because one of the statements you made was just absolutely wild, and I don't know if this is because you've spent a lot of time in these spaces, so you've kind of like internalized like a hatred for yourself or other women. But the idea that like a woman says something and the first thought that comes to mind is, I understand why men hit women, that is a statement that is so indicative of an unimaginably toxic and self-hating thought process that I can't even imagine how many webs I would have to unweave to get to the core of that. I just had to make that comment. On the second thing, I don't think in general, I don't think Melina, well, let me finish. I don't think that Melina's issue is that she thinks that men are docile creatures that are soft and emotional or whatever. I think Melina's issue, and probably what I would say as well, is that men and women can both exhibit masculine and feminine traits, or men and women can both exhibit like alpha dominant traits and like submissive, feminine, and emotional traits. It really just depends on the time and place, and it depends on the person.
Right. And I'll address the first thing. I never condone violence to women. I have a nonprofit that literally is all about it. But when I mean like very frustrated with women, and sometimes these men this was another argument we had. They take out their emotions in a way that's not correct, and they hurt another human. And she was saying, oh, that makes men more emotional. And I was saying, no, incorrect. That makes men incapable of managing their emotions because they've never been taught how to. And that was a huge thing. She's like, men are more emotional than women. And I'm like, no, they're not. They absolutely are not. Like, just from the standpoint of, you guys mostly have testosterone running through your veins. We have a myriad of estrogen, progesterone. We have a little testosterone too, which brings me to my next point of what you were saying is absolutely correct. We as men and women both do have masculine and feminine energy in us. Literally, if you were to cut the body down the half, the left side is the feminine, the right side is the masculine. And we have not equal, but we Obviously. Have those energies that play into our being. So for instance, the reason why you were attracted to Melina is because your inner feminine was attracted to her inner masculine and vice versa.
And because she's hot.
Stop.
Sorry, what'd you say?
And because she's hot.
Okay, perhaps that as well. But there's still like there was a dynamic that played into that connection, because we go back to the basics of science, and everything in the universe is energy, like everything from the smallest little atom.
Let's do a little point by point on this. Okay. I don't understand what you mean when you say men aren't emotional, but they have, or as emotional as women, but they have testosterone flowing through them. Wouldn't that be a reason why people could be more emotional? Is because they have testosterone? Like, does anger not count as an emotion for you?
No, it is an emotion. Okay, so then perhaps there's clarification needed on what that means. When she was saying emotional, the prompt, I have to go back and think exactly what the prompt was. But I think we were talking, man, I don't know. Help me if you can remember, Alex, what the prompt was. But
well, I know because me and Melina have had this conversation before, that there's an argument that's used oftentimes that women are the emotional ones and men are not the emotional ones, so they're the stoic ones. But in my opinion, that's just wholly not true. Men are quite emotional, and if you look at things like violent crime or whatever, I mean, like what's a more raw emotion than anger or stuff that's expressed as violence? Like, so, and men get very angry and very violent, depending on the circumstance. So it just seems weird to try to say that like men are less emotional than women. Women are probably more emotional in certain types of ways, and men are probably more emotional in other types of ways. But I don't know if I could draw like an absolute value saying one sex is more emotional than the other. That seems like very reductive and impossible to measure.
Well, I think that there's a difference in regards to the emotions. You're correct. Anger is an emotion, and men often they're privy to that because it's single pointed focus for the masculine energy. Men are typically, there's tons of books written about it, TED Talks. No one's great at multitasking, but if anyone is good at it, it's women. We can juggle and balance a lot of things because we're supposed to be mothers. We're supposed to have children. That's why I can run a business and take care of a son and have a nonprofit and do a lot of stuff. Like I can be doing my yoni eggs, Kegels right now while I'm doing this podcast with you. Like I can do multiple things at once, you know? So exactly. YoFactors.com, check out my shop. You can buy the yoni eggs there. But anyways, but men are not great at that. You guys are more successful if you look at it like Are
you great at doing Kegels?
Stop. I am doing Kegels. Go ahead.
He's probably squeezing up on his perineum, which is great too for men. But in regards to like the fact that you guys are single pointed focus, which is why most of you, who are the top YouTubers in the planet? They're mostly men. I know who they are, and some of them are, there's like a couple women that make the cut. But as a rule of thumb, most women are not Pearly. And Pearly, with all due respect to her, she is I consider her a colleague and somewhat of a friend. Let me say this very carefully because I know this is going to get back to her. When you look at her at first, you don't necessarily see, feminine women. But when she talks and her point of view is quite feminine in regards to the roles of masculine and femininity. I hope I said that, PC, because I don't mean any ill will towards Pearly. If you look at your girlfriend or your wife, Melina, she actually kind of does look quite feminine. When you saw her, she was like me. She had a nice dress on, her hair done, but then she opened her mouth and that was all undone. So I think in regards to, yes, men have a lot of emotions too. However, the emotion that they mostly go to is anger. Boom, they punch someone, it's over. They're very successful because their brain is more pronounced and more focused in this region. Where women, we have a myriad of emotions. Earlier, I was not happy. Now I'm happy. Now I'm angry at you. Now I want to have an O. Now it's like we're always changing, and that is the feminine. Men are not like that as much unless they're quite feminine or unless they're beta or the S word that everyone likes to throw around. So that is like when it comes to a man that you want to look up to and to take care of your children. I don't know if you have children, but to like provide for your seed. Do I want a man whose emotions are like this, up and then down, and then I'm mad, I'm happy, I'm sad, I'm angry, I'm confused, I'm lost, I can't make a decision? Or do I want a man that's like, I know what I'm doing right now, boom, and they do it? And that's what I want in a man. I would never date a beta. So I agree with you on men are emotional too, but they channel that into the gym or into that's why men are more successful than women. There, I said it. That's why.
I understand what you're saying. I mean, I disagree with literally every single thing you've said. I think to reframe almost everything you've said, like I can agree in general that you don't want to be with like a more emotional person or an unstable person. I never understood why you guys gender this stuff. Like all the bad things you're describing of being like with an emotionally unstable guy who's changing his feelings. Like nobody would want to be with a woman like that. Like those are just bad qualities for anybody.
Okay. I mean, that's very interesting. I find that quite fascinating because, yeah, you're right. People don't want, especially men who have massive empires that they're creating and that they're building, multi-million-dollar men. If you look, or billion rather, if you look at the most successful men in the world, behind them, you've always seen a woman who's kind of in the background, who's probably not crazy. Like you look at what is Trump and his wife. You look at Bill Gates. You look at Elon. You look at the guy from Amazon, Bezos. Even though now he's traded, divorced and got a baddie, like an older age appropriate baddie. Shout out to him for that. Like all these things, you see these women who were really holding it down. And if you ask them, hey, was your woman unstable? They would probably say no. She kept her emotions together, but did she change a lot? And they would say, absolutely, yes. She was, this way, this moment. In this moment, she was very nurturing because she was taking care of our children. In another moment, she might have been upset at me for an argument we had.
Yeah, this thing you're talking about, like changing up or whatever, like any successful, reasonable person has to do this. This isn't just like a man, or like a man has to step into, especially if you're going to talk about like founding businesses, like men have to step into all sorts of different roles for that. At one point, you might be dealing with an honorary client. At another moment, you might have to deal with an employee that works in like actual like hands-on manufacturing. At another moment, you might have to deal with a vendor that you have to like buy and sell things from. And another moment, you might have to go home and deal with your family. Like this thing of like changing mental states and dealing with a variety of types of situations that call for different types of emotional states, I don't think is unique to men or women. And I would say the most successful men are also going to exhibit these like changes in emotions as well.
When you said, to go back to, you said, why does this have to go back to gender? Well, because it does. Because everything in the universe does have absolutes. We live in this, really leftist liberal world now. I don't. I'm in Newport Beach, where everyone is extremely conservative.
We're neighbors.
You're in Newport?
Laguna, hence DeLaguna is my name.
You guys are in Laguna Beach, really?
No, he's in
there.
Miami. I am in
I only go down to
Laguna
visit her mom.
Yeah.
Oh, you're in Laguna.
But
okay.
it's nice.
Yeah,
I consider him a stepdad.
Everyone always tells me, oh, move to Laguna because it's like Hippieville, you'd fit in there. And I'm like, yeah, rich Hippieville, but you can't get out of Laguna.
Yeah, guys, let's keep it on point. Okay, all right.
We're just doing a little bit of neighborly chatting. But anyways, in regards to
that singular focus, Alex just did that masculine thing. Yeah,
nice.
sorry, go ahead.
Yes, extremely
that's it. And then
masculine.
I got sidetracked because, a woman, just look at her hormones and her cycle.
Right, you keep showing like the
I see your cycle right now. It's coming out.
Yeah, you keep showing like the epitome of femininity. For instance, when I think of the epitome of femininity, I'm thinking of like a woman whipping out a whiteboard and explaining why all other women are whores. That's like the pinnacle of femininity. So yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, Melina's a masculine one, and all the women that you named are ultra feminine all the way.
Correct. Well, I'm just saying that. What is your name? I don't know what your name is.
Nobody
sorry.
does. It's
Lauren.
Damn, I was gonna think of something
Shut
funny.
up.
I don't think of it at a time. Zerka. It's Zerka.
Laura?
Lauren. Sorry, go ahead.
It's Lauren.
Lauren. My apologies, Lauren.
No worries.
You're quite beautiful. Thank you so much for chiming in on that. You're correct. I'm very I'm not single pointed focused at all. That's why when I teach my retreats, I do better when I have my counterpart who he played in the NFL. He's in the mindfulness community, and he'd be like, okay, Shakti, here's what we need to do. You went off on a tangent, because that's how women's brains work. We sort of it's been proven that men speak X amount more thousands less words than women do. We just operate differently. And you're right. You do have to be, Destiny, in a position where you have a business. I'm sure you have a lot of people who help you run your business, or I don't know, maybe you do it alone, but it would seem like you'd have a team. And so you're delegating and you're doing this, but your range of emotions are staying fairly much so the same, which is why a lot of times women get frustrated with men because they don't get more emote. They don't get that emotion. Why doesn't he text me his undying love for me? He's busy, bitch. Like, he's creating, he's working, he's doing stuff. Like, if you want all that lovey-dovey stuff, then maybe date a woman or maybe date a beta man, because perhaps you might get that then.
I've been trying to date
Tell
Melina.
yourself. Stop. Sorry.
You're trying to date Melina?
No, she's...
I'm kidding.
Just
I'm kidding.
ignore
Go
her.
ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
You would definitely, probably make on nice with her in that respect. But no, I think, and in regards to living in this blank society where there's no absolutes, and that everyone can just pick a gender. Like, it just doesn't work that way. I want to be Kim Kardashian, but that doesn't mean I can just say, oh, I identify as her, and today I become her because we have dark hair and I'm ethnic. I'm from Morocco. Like, it doesn't work like that, you know? And
okay. So yeah, so this, you have like, so I don't think there's anything I'm going to be able to say to get through to you, because I think you have like an entire worldview that's built on like all of these things that are all hinged off of one another. So I don't know if you're going to change your mind on any particular thing. So I guess I'll just give my quick spiel, and then I don't know if we're ever going to connect in this conversation just based on what I'm hearing. I think that you have men and you've got women, and I think there are some differences, but I think we're like 90% similar, and then you've got like 10% is like some masculine idea, and then 10% is some feminine idea. The idea that men and women are so unbelievably dissimilar, and there are all these positive masculine traits, and if women exhibit any of them, that's bad, and there's these positive feminine traits, and if men exhibit any of them, that's bad. I think it's a really toxic way of thinking. I think it's damaging to relationships. I think it's adversarial for dating, and I think it gives people a really skewed and disgusting perspective of the world. If you're a man and you go into a relationship expecting you to just be ultra masculine and exhibit no traits that are related to femininity, like being able to communicate, being able to emotionally regulate, stuff like this, you're going to fail in every single relationship you go in, and women aren't going to want to deal with you. No woman wants a man like that, except maybe in these spaces some women will pretend to, but they won't actually ever go after those men, because they'll date them for 1 year and then quit and be like, why was I with these schizoids? Mm-hmm. And then same thing with the same thing on the other end, this idea that like women are emotional and they have this trouble, like, you know, managing any tasks and blah, blah, blah. Like when you look at these feminine traits you describe, you're essentially describing like children or retarded children sometimes. And no man wants to date a woman that like can't emotionally regulate. No man wants to date a woman that is like crying and breaking down and going through all these phases and can't handle anything whatsoever. I think every human being has a healthy balance of masculine and feminine encompassed traits inside of them that they can manage really well and deploy at specific situations. Like in some cases, like masculine men exhibiting feminine traits is the most attractive thing in the world, and feminine women exhibiting masculine traits and being able to handle their shit can be the most attractive thing in the world. I don't like the hyper dichotomization between male and female, because I think it just doesn't map onto any part of reality, and it just sets everybody else up to have like a really horrible time. Yeah.
Tell me, just answer me this question. You are correct in a few things you said, and a few of them are it's just so far left, and so like anyone can be a tree or whatever, like that.
I don't believe anyone can be a tree, to be clear, but go ahead.
Only trees can be trees, right?
True.
You don't have a children, so I did take offense to the R word in regards to children, and thankfully my son is super healthy, so. But
to be clear, I do have a son and he has ADHD, so he's basically retarded, so I think I get to say retarded, but go ahead.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, I stand corrected. I digress. But in regards to like talking about women like children, now you really come into the red pill community where we're telling, and I don't subscribe to this at all, where we're saying that women have to be, you know, subservient, and they're literally a box, to quote Myron, who I cannot stand when he says that. And I've made it very clear that I do not agree with that at all. So in those regards, I agree with you 1,000%. Women are powerful. We create freaking life. And we give birth, and that's not a weak task. It did take a lot of obviously qualities that we do need to have in us, like strength and being able to stay on task and push and not let the pain overwhelm you, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
But you realize that like that sucks, right? Like if you're reducing what?
Yes,
no. I'm saying it sucks if you reduce yourself to some like innate biological capability you have of like pushing children out of yourself. Like in today's age, like people aspire to something more than to just give birth.
Well, unfortunately, the leftist agenda has made it so that women forego being a mother and being a wife and being able to submit to a worthy present man who's dominant and who leads and fiercely protects them to become successful in the community and buy overpriced vibrators and cats. Like, this is like the agenda that's now being pushed on women, and they're missing out on the gifts of life, of bearing children and of being nurturing. And you're right, I wouldn't want a man who couldn't connect with my children and who couldn't be, nurturing to them at times. But I don't want a weak man who's all over the place, who changes his mind and emotions, because then why am I going to trust him?
True, but you wouldn't want a weak woman either. You wouldn't want a woman that does that either, a woman or a man. Both of those things would be bad.
But there has to be one leader in every relationship, and this is the other point that now that we're talking.
Yeah, wait. What does that mean? What does it mean to be a leader in a relationship? I don't know what that means.
There's no such thing as a 50-50 relationship dynamic.
There literally is even in a business you can have 50-50 owner. What do you mean? Of course.
149. But people, good business owners, know it's suicide to be 50-50, because then you don't have the upper hand should something go awry. Some of my billionaire
partnerships.
Wait, give me an example of like when you say be a leader in a relationship. Can you give me an example that doesn't involve violence, where you need to be the leader in a relationship?
I'm not referring to violence at all. I simply made that statement because I feel like men and women are very much so misunderstood. And when a woman gets into her masculine, I see why it's frustrating for a man, because the only thing he knows is violence, and so he goes to that.
No, I'm sorry. When I say besides violence, what I mean is usually when people say I'm a leader in a relationship, when I ask them, what do you mean by leader? The example they give is somebody breaks into the house, I need to kill them. So I'm saying outside, so I'm asking when you say be a leader in a relationship, what does that mean to be the leader? Yeah.
All right, so I like to use analogies because it helps people to understand better.
Sure.
So for instance, if you do, no offense, but I don't know. Were you an athlete? You don't look like you watch sports much, but I'll go ahead and
I did a little bit of cross country, but I know I understand sports. I could kill you in one punch. Go ahead.
I've dated professional athletes my entire life. I've worked with them. I know. So if you talk about sports, if you talk about the team, see, we'll just take football, okay? There is many coaches in the football dynamic, but there's one head coach and he calls the shots, and then he
Hold on, wait. No analogy. Just tell me in a relationship, what does it mean to be a leader? I don't know why because like we don't do like if you're talking about like one quarterback, like one man dating like 10 or 12 or 15 women or whatever, sure. But we're talking about a one-on-one relationship. What does it mean to be a leader?
About the dynamics of how our teams or operations function. We can take sports, we can take the army, we can take anything in life. Your kids going to school, there's not 10 teachers or 2, there's 1. So
yeah, but these are all situations where it's one person leading many. We're talking about a partnership, a man and a woman. What does it mean to be a leader in a relationship?
With children, in most cases, except for what's been thankfully the left's been pushing not to have kids. But when you talk about the dynamic, it's typically a man and a woman. Pick your role if you're same sex and all that, and then children. So there has to be one person who is making the decisions. In the major life decisions.
Like what major decision? That's what I want to know. Like what is the major decision you're making as a leader?
I was just getting to that. Who's shouldering the financial responsibility for the most part. Doesn't mean other people can't make money too. Who's like, for instance, okay, if you two were to get married, Lauren and Destiny, you guys get married. Maybe you are already. I don't know.
Melina is his wife.
Go ahead.
Once again, that's the whole reason that you're talking to him.
Yeah. Go ahead.
What the fuck?
Well, you could be the second wife. I heard you guys have open relationship.
No,
I didn't know.
I'm not Muslim. I'm not Muslim. Go ahead. Yeah.
Okay, so I didn't know. I
You're good. No, it's fine. It's fine. You're good. She's feisty. I don't know why.
So you guys get married
right now. Yeah.
I'm in my masculine.
You guys are deciding where. First of all, basic thing. Where do you want to live?
Okay.
Okay. And you're saying, well, I want to live in, perfect example, Miami. And you're saying West Coast is the best.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, Miami's where it's at. All the lefties are here. The libs are here. Come down here. Right? So you guys are just for instance, that. Then don't even take into account, like, if you have kids, what religion are you going to raise them? How are you going to provide for the family? Who's going to pay the bills? Who's going to decide how we raise our children or what we believe? Things like that, just basic things that you have to have a person who, yes, there's it's not a master servant.
Sure.
You guys chime in.
So you said you've dated multiple people. I'm sorry, did you say you have children, right?
I have one son. He's 8, yes.
So I'm gonna lean really hard into this because I hear people with no relationship experience say the answers that you've given, and it's very obvious they have no relationship experience. I don't know how you're giving these answers. So when you're in a relationship, and I'm asking you, what are examples of a leadership position? And you say, who's going to provide, who pays the bills, how we raise our children, where do we live, where do we move? These are not decisions that are made by one party ever. And if it is, that relationship is not going to last. There has never been a successful relationship where you live in an area and the man goes to the wife, he's like, we're moving across the country, pack your shit and let's go. Like, no relationship.
There's dialogue, there's discussion.
Yeah, there's discussion, but the discussion is not like we don't know what to do and I'm just going to make the decision to do it. These are always decisions that are done with both parties talking to each other and coming to a good arrangement where both people are happy with what's going to happen. Like you mentioned, like, what religion do we raise our children with? That's not going to be a leadership decision. That's going to be, we either agree or we're probably splitting, right? If I've got a wife and she happens to be like a staunch Catholic, if I've got a wife who's a staunch Catholic and I'm like a Muslim or whatever, and at the end of the day I'm like, listen, our kids are either going to be Muslim or I'm going to walk. She's going to say, well, I'm leaving. I'm not going to bend my whole religion to, right? So I don't understand.
Though it doesn't happen like that. I see it in my practice where you have people that come in and they're on very different ends of the spectrum, and you're like, how did these two people even match? Because this person, like you said, it would work in theory like that, but oftentimes people let the emotional and the sexual and all that stuff captivate them and carry them away, and they end up making bad decisions because their values don't match, and so the relationship isn't going to last.
So you give relationship advice, right?
I don't give advice. I coach people.
Okay,
yeah,
so
I mean,
coach, okay.
It's not relationship. It's more based on sex.
Okay, so
and
do you
see it in the laws of sexual polarity?
Okay, go ahead.
So do you recommend to these people that you coach to just always allow one of them to make every decision whenever there's a conflict?
There's one leader, and in this life, it's the masculine, and yes, the woman follows. And but with that being said, too much is given, much is required. The responsibility that's on that man's shoulders is heavy, and the job for the woman is to nurture and support him in those decisions, in that huge responsibility of taking care of their family, taking care of his wife, his children, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Because if the woman is all of a sudden like making all the, I'm not saying that women don't have a say so, but in the end, a woman wants to submit to a man who is willing to take control and guide them through this life. And this life today is kind of crazy. So I want to trust that the person I'm with can make those decisions. I put my life in his hands, just like he trusts me to rear and nurture our children. That's why stay-at-home dads is hilarious most of the time. I understand it happens.
I think I don't see, like, if this is the advice you're given, like, this is why these men are like, oh, I can't find anybody, because women today aren't children. And unfortunately, I feel like we're training people to be good husbands to women of like the 1200s, right? Like, I don't think the average woman wants to submit to a man and have him make all the decisions, and she's there to just like push some children out of her and then like ship them off to school. Like, I think people want relationships. What?
Which is why marriages are failing, because we're using this agenda that like
it's not an agenda. It's that women have been given the opportunities to explore life a little bit more, and they're opting for more than just being baby makers and home takers.
And they can do that while still being able to be submissive, nurturing, feminine to someone who is taking most of the responsibility in that relationship dynamic.
How are they? What do you mean most of the responsibility? Even that doesn't necessarily make sense.
When I'm talking about when you're talking about the leadership position and being a good leader, what does a good leader mean? It means someone who leads by example, right? They live a life that's unshakable, unmovable, unfuckwithable, and they're always present. Men aren't present today. You can't even get a man's attention for 5 minutes because he's gaming or doing whatever the case may be. He's so moved by a woman who walks by. Oh my God, maybe the grass is greener over there. Like, men can't commit to anything anymore, which is why women don't trust them. If men were actually steadfast and said, you know what, I am the leader, but your input is greatly coveted. I'll make the decision that's best for all of us, and actually stood unshakable, I think that we'd have more women who are wanting to get into that role of actually having kids. It doesn't mean they can't have a career. I'm just saying it's very hard. One of my most viral content videos was this woman who was extremely masculine, kind of reminded me of Melina, very successful, making multiple six figures. And she was on the Sauce show, and she said, oh yeah, I'm making multiple six figures. She's traveling the world, giving her little spiel, whatever the case may be. And she said, I want a man who's going to make more money for me, who's going to pay all my bills. I'm not going to do sexual stuff with him at all. I use more explicit words, which I won't say. And I'm going to have kids, and he's going to raise them. And I was like, you're living in a pipe dream, bro. Like, basically asking, like, you're a man, so you're asking for a woman.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. I think we're so far apart in worldview. It's like, if I was giving advice to a man, and like, if I were to tell a man, you need to go out to the dating market and you need to find a woman that wants to like submit to you as the leader, like, this is just like a recipe for disaster. Like, the dating markets across the entire Western world don't work this way today. You're not going to have any success like finding a good relationship or developing a strong partnership with a woman and having, you know, a good relationship or a good marriage. Like,
why is it that women, okay, first of all, we know marriage is a coin toss, first of all.
We know marriage is what? I'm sorry, it was echoey. What did you say?
Marriage is a coin toss. It's a 50-50 chance, or it's like 60, it fluctuates.
Is that what you think about your marriage?
No, in my path, we don't actually necessarily agree with marriage, but a partnership, yes.
Oh, so you're not married?
I'm not married, no, I'm not.
Okay, are you in a partnership?
I am.
Is the partnership the dad of your child?
He is not the dad of my child.
Okay, so you've had partnerships fail. Were you not submissive enough?
Well, no, in regards to my son and his dad, that's the only thing I'm off limits on, just because it's not fair to him. But in regards to in regards to my son and his father, I just don't talk on that. On anything else, I'm happy to share with. But the tantric path typically does believe in open marriages and relationships, or not even marriages, open relationships and multiple partners. That's not something that I partake in, even though I have experimented with that, because I wanted to learn the path in its entirety. However, I'm actually more conservative in my views. So I do believe in commitment of one man to one woman. And I looked up the stats on polygamy and polyamory, and it's shocking. The countries that this works in are in the countries where my son is from, Africa, right? He is from Mali.
Stop. Okay. Go ahead.
No, it's true. I looked at
you name your vagina Africa. Like, sorry, what?
She means African countries and countries in Africa. They're all the same.
My son is from Mali, and the top two countries are Burkina and Mali and Nigeria. Those are the top three countries where polygamy works, or polyamory, if you will, works. And in most of the country, in most of the world, those are the only places that it works, simply because a lot of those countries do have a strong Muslim religion, faith, if you will. Now, in regards to the way that partnerships are run today, first of all, marriage isn't always working out today. In a lot of relationships, people consider it worthy, but they don't necessarily want to get married because men have flooded the YouTube space saying it's a disadvantage for you to get married, and men want to hang on to their coin, so they're not doing it. So it is true.
Wait, so you're saying the reason that marriages aren't happening today is because of YouTube?
I'm not saying of YouTube. I'm saying the propaganda of men not wanting to get married because women are taking a lot of money when they get divorced. And
why? Well, didn't you say though that you don't advocate for getting married, or?
No, I'm not saying I don't. I am for marriage. I'm saying in the path that I studied, and is what my lineage is, marriage isn't necessarily something they say is necessary. A committed relationship is. Now, marriage is more of a Western thing that we have really hold on to. As I just mentioned, in Africa, multiple wives, multiple women is more something that's the norm, right? I'm not saying I advocate for people doing what they want to do, but to commit to something. Because if you can't, that's the problem. People say, oh, I want an open relationship, but they can't commit to one person. They can't even commit to themselves to getting up and going to the gym every day. And then they wonder why their relationship doesn't work. Remember, women are filing for divorce. And in most states, women are getting the children, paying, and their husbands are forced, now ex-husbands are forced to pay them child support, and then they tell them when they can see their kid. That's why men aren't getting married today, because they're like, the risk is too high. So I'm not saying that I don't see that these problems exist. I'm saying the narrative in which we are working through, where everyone's free to do what they want and be happy and make them, that stuff doesn't work. That stuff's not working, because look at the dynamics of marriage today. It's not working. And polyamory is that whole concept doesn't work either. Even the most successful men in the world can't make it work. Like, we have people like, let's see, a dear friend of mine, Mike Rashid, who he went on Fresh and Fit with his women. He has his challenges too in regards to it, and he has the means to take care of women. So I think that when we just jump to like, oh, this concept of like, let's just everyone, like, all men say they want to have multiple wives, but they can't even afford one woman. They can't even manage one woman, let alone multiple women. It just sounds like a good idea because they get to have sex with multiple women and get away with it, and everyone's cool at the table.
All right, Destiny, do you want to respond to that, or?
Well, it's just like there's like so much. I don't know what even to. I mean, like, I feel like it's just us kind of like laying out our whole like life philosophies or whatever.
Well, let's try to go point by point. Let's try to keep it a little bit more point by point.
Lori jumped on a whole other tangent with me, so I was like, okay, let's go here.
Sorry, she said that the reason that men weren't getting married was because of YouTube, and I was just a little taken aback by that.
Okay, so Jennelle, maybe you can lay out another disagreement that you had with Melina, and then Destiny can say how he feels about it.
Okay. I mean, I think one of the other big points I felt was that this whole notion in regards to what she was talking with Myron about, I think they kind of got, her and Myron and I were kind of like in this little triangle in regards to it.
So make you jealous.
She wants us to talk about men as is like, I mean, everything was kind of all blanketed in together when we talk about it. Like the polarity stuff, the men and women being the same, her wanting to say like, oh, you know, the violence towards women and stuff like that. When Myron even told her the stat was like, women are more physically violent towards other women than men to women. But it sounded to me like, oh, here's a perfect example. She was talking about her being in an open relationship with you and you let her go sleep with other men, right? Mm-hmm. Which I thought was quite fascinating because that is a very very rare form of polygamy that doesn't happen so much. It's when a woman is allowed to be with multiple men or marry multiple men, or one woman is married to two brothers. This stuff is like so polar opposite, like doesn't exist, just as small as polygamy doesn't exist, very, very smallly, or very small. Now, when you look at a woman who's willing to take direction from multiple men and open her legs to multiple men.
Well, hold on. Wait. Those two things were two different things. Well, you just didn't name three different things. Take direction from a man. Just because you're in a relationship with your man doesn't mean you're taking a direction from him. Just because you're opening legs for a man doesn't mean you're taking a direction from him. And then when you said you were about to say fall in love with men, just because you fuck somebody doesn't necessarily mean you fall in love with them either. So all three of these things are three different things. We can talk about any one you want, but...
How many baby daddies does Melina have?
Stop.
None. Okay.
Well, she could have used contraception. We don't know. I chose to give life to her.
Well, Lauren, no, come on. Let's don't get involved.
Yeah, that's mean.
Come on.
It's clear you don't have children because you would never talk like that to a woman who has a child.
Yeah, because I guess
Stop.
I guarantee you won't last a month on breastfeeding. You would give your baby formula and a pacifier. So let's not even go there because I can cut you down really quickly, sweetheart.
Okay, if I was going to fight back on that, I don't believe that a mom that's actually breastfed would use that insult against another one because a lot of women have trouble breastfeeding after they've had children. There's a lot of stress.
Also, does having huge babies help with breastfeeding?
Your mic is... You're on a 5-minute break.
I breastfed my son till he was almost 7. So come on, you guys.
Why the f are we getting into breastfeeding? Who cares about breastfeeding? Let's get back to the initial discussion.
These countries where they have polygamy and polyamory, that's where this comes from. You should know about breastfeeding in the indigenous countries and how good it is for the prefrontal cortex and how it emotionally connects your child in a way that you can't ever pay for. So yeah, Lauren, with the mothering skills, you need to definitely take some Oz classes.
I agree. Okay, I'm sorry. Go back to where we were before. Okay, Lauren was out of pocket.
Just get my son out of it. And lay off the birth control because it's bad for you. When you do want to have
I can tell it's emotionally affected her.
It has.
Okay.
I know.
So we were trying to get to one question or one point of disagreement.
Leave my son out of it's really low blow.
Okay.
But anyways, so back to what we were on, Destiny, because your girl got me off again, or your second girl. I wonder why he did marry.
My girls got other girls off all the time. I know what you mean. Go ahead.
I'm a trans man, actually.
Stop.
Okay, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, I could see that. You just had surgery. But yeah, so number 2 always is a little bitter. I get it. I know what it's like not to be number 1, so I got you. Destiny, get me back on track, please.
Okay, what we're trying to find is you deserve those insults because you're being mean to her first, okay?
Sorry.
I'm sorry. Okay, we were trying to center around like a simple disagreement, I think, is what we're looking for, okay?
Yeah. Oh, about opening the legs to multiple men.
Yeah, you mentioned 3 things, taking direction from a man and falling in love with a man, and you seem to be saying, or it sounded like you were going to make the argument that all 3 of these things were the same, but I think they're quite different, but go ahead.
So my thing is, getting back to Melina, because I don't really like talking about her much, but anyways, my question to you, since you're here, and you're actually quite egalitarian, I will say that.
I'm quite what? I'm sorry, your mic cut out. I'm quite...
You're quite egalitarian, meaning you're fair. Yeah.
Okay.
So I'll say that. That right there is exhibiting masculine qualities that a woman looks for. Now the wishy-washy stuff, not so much. And anyway, you can just keep the comments to yourself on that one, Lauren. But in regards to a man that's willing to let another woman be penetrated by another man, like, I'm just so curious, like, how does that work for you? Because typically, this is the rarest form of polyandry, if you will. And so I'm so curious, like, how does this work for you as a masculine man? I don't know if you call yourself that. How does this work for you?
Well, I mean, typically, I like to fuck around a lot because it's fun. And if I'm going to fuck around a lot, then the woman I'm with probably has to be allowed to fuck around a lot too. She enjoys fucking around a lot as well, so it's fun for her. So that's like the equal agreement we have for our relationship.
And so it's just, so this is again about equality, which I get is the concept.
Well, it's about respect, but.
Okay, so for you, it's like your ability to be able to go out and have multiple sexual partners feels more, do you feel more like you feel less guilty that she's allowed to do that, or you just feel like this has to be fair? So that she I
feel like if a woman would agree a one-sided open relationship, she has a lack of self-respect, and I gravitate towards women that have high levels of self-respect.
But a high level, what, and all due respect here, because again, I feel like you're very egalitarian, you're quite fair, despite us having very contradicting point of views. How is it self-respect to like for a woman to share herself with multiple men and not feel some type of way about that? I mean, because perfect example. Men can have children until they're how old?
Probably till they're in their 80s, 90s. I don't know, forever.
Dead.
Yeah.
Essentially, till they die. If they wanted to have a child, and literally their sperm retrieval, once they've died, they can actually go in and take the sperm from the corpse, and they have about 48 hours to do it and mix it in the little petri dish with the eggs, and hopefully they can have a child.
That's how I was born.
So with a woman, that cannot happen.
Okay.
Like if she's gone, she's gone. And past 60, women are just not, medical miracles. There's always exceptions, right? Women are not having children. There's a reason for that.
Okay. My entire life is not centered around the reproductive capabilities of my partner, though. So these aren't things that I am usually like factoring in when I'm like setting up my relationship. Is like how long until my wife's like womb becomes decrepit and barren, and that's what I'm going to structure my relationship around. I just don't think about it.
I'm not saying you should, but I'm saying that there's a reason why women's sexual organs are inside of her and men's are outside, right? The man is the emissive. They're the emissive. They're the emitter. They're the ones who are making, like, literally going into the woman's yoni. I'm trying to be careful what you can say here.
You can say whatever you want. You're good.
Well, my channel just got taken, so I don't know.
Never mind. My bad. Be careful for your channel.
Women can't. Yeah, they don't like
Sorry
this conscious. What'd you say?
Sorry for your loss.
Oh, very funny. That's cute.
Well, to be fair, she's a big free speech guy. She just spent like 2 hours defending a Nazi, so she actually probably did.
I'm a Jew who just defended Nick Fuentes, so yeah. I'm very pro free speech. I am genuinely sorry for your loss. That sucks. You shouldn't be censored.
I have an attorney helping me. He actually just called me, so we're going to try to get it back. But who knows? It's crazy to me that I can talk about conscious sexual polarity and having like a respected dynamic of divine masculine, divine feminine energy, and I get taken down. Yet there's like sexual, like I can't even tell you the stuff that's out there. So to me, I was very offended, but it is what it is in regards to that. And of course, I lost my train of thought again. So there we have it.
Let's not sidetrack. So you guys were talking about Destiny's relationship, and he was saying that his mating strategy or his relationship strategy isn't centered around women's ability to have a child. I think that's kind of where you guys were.
Oh yeah. Thank you for reminding me, Alex. So in regards to women being able to receive a man, and a man is able to emit his seed, his sperm, into a woman and impregnate multiple, but women can only have like one child, per, like, there's a reason for that, because a woman's job, not her only job, she can be a businesswoman, she can be a business owner, but her job is to receive the masculine energy, the masculine seed to create life, et cetera, et cetera. Now she's not able, like, hold on one second. There's like a huge truck going by. Can you guys hear it?
Yeah, we can hear it.
No.
It's all good. Wait, no, we can hear it.
No,
we
we
can hear it. We can hear it. We can hear it. Well, wait a second.
I just muted it.
You're good.
Hold on, let me.
Sounds like the truck is literally like crashing into her apartment. Like the truck is going, it's like.
And I don't know if you could hear me, Jennelle, but I actually do probably agree with you on most of these points more than I agree with.
Give the cuck, thank you.
Yeah, more than I agree with Destiny on certain points. However, the thing that I just was turned off by was the immediate attacking of Mel and calling her masculine, especially because she's a beautiful lady. And like, I just don't understand why you would. Like, I understand if maybe she's giving off masculine energy or she agrees with points you don't like, but it just seems very, like, hatred of women-y, which is not very feminine. And that's, like, your whole thing, right? Feminine?
Well, let's let her talk, because she's, like, muted right now. You have to unmute yourself, Jennelle.
Yeah, she's waiting for the truck to get by.
Oh, she's waiting for the truck. Okay.
Say that one more time. Okay.
No, wait, right now your mic is still muted.
My mic is muted?
No, her mic is muted.
She said, say it one more time, though. I could read her lips. Anyway, I said that I agree. You can't read lips, like basic? Okay, anyway. So, I said, I agree with most of your points, more so than I agree with Destiny on a lot of these points and like the red pill content stuff. However, when you come in attacking a woman and calling her masculine, that's actually really not feminine energy, especially because it's more feminine to be calling other women beautiful and hyping them up. And you can disagree with Mel's points all you want. I just don't understand like the ad hominem attacks, especially the...
I did say she was beautiful. I said when you looked at her, she was quite stunning. She had a beautiful feminine dress on. She looked the part, but then when she opened her mouth, like even arguing so much where Adam was like, I'm going to have to ask you to leave. And I've been on countless shows, like 5 shows. I've never, not countless, but 5 shows in a matter of a year. And I've just never seen a guest behave in that manner, a woman at that, who wouldn't just take the cue from the host to just be quiet. She was so combative. There's Torsha, like she was so combative. Like I was like, dude, like let me finish a thought. Let Myron finish a thought, and Adam. And so I think that's where I was never talking shit about her. I think she's a beautiful woman. I said she looked quite feminine, but then when she opened her mouth and ideas, I was just greatly turned off. I was like, whoa, I did not expect that coming from someone who looked that way. So I wasn't trying to put her down in any way, just that it was quite frustrating to me. And I understand how men feel some type of way when women, we exude that combative energy. Men don't want to fight other men. They'll go in the streets and fight other men. Why do they want to fight that in their woman?
Yeah.
Well, I think to be fair, too, you have to be careful on the stereotyping there, because I think there are some men that appreciate women that are more opinionated or that can stand up for themselves or have like that type of energy. Like for me personally, like I don't enjoy women that are very quiet or docile or submissive, because in my opinion, that's boring. But so I do think that there are different people that have different preferences for different relationship styles.
No, that's true. I'm saying like and I'm not like sitting there like, okay, whatever you say goes. If I feel some type of way and I'm with my partner, I'll tell him like, hey, I totally respect how you're feeling and I respect you, and ultimately what you say goes, but I don't agree with this. I'm not going to be silent. I actually come across on podcasts 10 times more dominant than I am in real life. If you meet me in real life, I'm extremely docile. I'm super fun, flirty, feminine, always moving. But when I'm on a podcast, I want people to pay attention. Well, so that could have been Melina as well. I was just going to say, I'm reading the thoughts before you think them. Like that could have been her as well. The lack of disrespect when she wouldn't even let the host finish, or when the host was like, stop it, Melina, stop it. He said it like 6 times. And the funny thing is that's actually my last name. My last name, I was like, how does she have the same, spelled a little differently. But yeah, that part, I was just a huge turnoff to me. And that's why I assumed she was with a woman. Now I see you're not a woman, and the name Destiny, and I just assumed that. Again, no disrespect. I thought, wow, she's married to a man, or I'm sorry, to a woman, because she's so masculine. She's got to be, in that dynamic of sexual polarity, because I look at things from an energy perspective anyways.
Sure.
And now that I'm a person, and then there were some sexual nuances that were said in the thing in regards to sexual preferences that were quite alarming to me as well, which I thought, well, maybe that's just hearsay or joking. Mm-hmm. But I was like, when she said that, I was like, okay, maybe we are dealing with a very feminine man here, because I know in the realm of BDSM how that works. And that's a very, like, that type of sexual play is something that a man who has a lot of control wants to be like taken and wants to be feminized, because it helps to balance his polarity. So I just drew my conclusions for that. I didn't know you. I didn't know who you were. She's a lovely woman. I don't have anything against her. However, the way she showed up and portrayed herself was just totally opposite of what I got.
Gotcha.
And and all the spiritual, it was funny that I say this. When I'm on the show, I really don't talk much about the spiritual stuff. And for her to be so strongly kind of advocating some of this, oh, I need a man who's like, I was just like very kind of confused by her whole dynamic. So I don't know her story. I can't judge her, but I see you do definitely pick women with.
Let's get back to the initial disagreement instead of like doing a Melina like variety hour.
Sure.
I could
Okay,
talk about
so-
Melina all day.
Blaming Lauren.
Yeah, because Melina's hot, and
Sure.
I love to talk about her all day.
Okay, fuck you. Okay, go ahead. Sorry, what was our other disagreement that we were on?
You have to bring it back.
You guys were-
I had written down. Okay, so circling back again. I'm sorry. You mentioned something about being with a woman that wants to take direction, open her legs, and fall in love with other men. Is where we were back. Yeah.
Yeah, so you always definitely dreamed of having a woman who other women like had and possessed. Was that something that you always wanted, like your woman to be shared? Because typically most men don't want that.
For me, I'm not a very jealous person, so I don't care much. And I want to have the ability to mess around with other people. And I don't foresee a relationship functioning if only. What?
I said clearly.
Yeah.
Lauren's
So hold on.
Wait,
This is just a friend. This is just a
whoa.
friend. This is just a friend.
Jesus.
Okay.
Oh, okay, my
What the
fault. I
fuck?
didn't know.
Chill.
I thought you guys were in a relationship. I
No,
apologize.
we're not. She's just hanging out. She's in town for now. Okay.
Oh my God.
Because she was fresh and fit. Okay. So yeah, it's not so much that I've always fantasized about some type of relationship. It's more just like I like the ability to mess around because it's fun for me, and I imagine that in any relationship I have where both partners have a healthy amount of self-respect and have good boundaries negotiated or whatever, that it's probably going to be the same for my partner as well. And then I personally don't feel like very jealous if my partner is messing around with other people, so it works for me, I guess. Yeah.
And so do you think that that's like, you said you have a child already. Do you plan to have more children? Do you think that that's like a viable system for your children to see you engaging with multiple women and your women to be like,
okay, yeah, so it's such a simple non-problem, right? So chances are when I think Melina does want children, if we have children, our lifestyles will probably change. I'd probably work less. We'd probably do different relationship stuff. Yeah, that would probably happen.
Okay. Perfect. That's amazing. So you're saying that you're kind of admitting without saying it that this dynamic is not good for like the family dynamic of what creates our society.
Well, no dynamic pre-children will probably be good for post-children. So, for instance, if you've heard of dual income, no kids, like a dink lifestyle, where the man and the woman are both heavily pursuing a career, they're living in an area that optimizes for their career growth or trajectory, chances are that lifestyle would not be conducive to having children. Like, once you have children, your lifestyle is probably going to change, irrespective of if you're monogamous, polyamorous, or whatever, prior to having children.
I mean, it always does, but I think that you're just talking about work versus like, obviously when you have children, you have to work less, or your work has to be conducive to their scheduling. You have to be able to move things around. And so, yeah, you're going to change. Anytime you have a child, you're going to change, but you're talking about just working less, not like a sexual dynamic that involves the children.
Yeah, it's not a sexual, but it might be working less. It might be the way that you associate with your friends less. It might be doing less drugs or doing less drinking of alcohol. It might be pursuing different hobbies. Maybe like I've known guys that really like riding motorcycles, and once they've had children, they don't feel as comfortable pursuing that hobby anymore because it's a great risk. I've known some people that retire. My parents are both Air Force, and they retired from the military. Yeah, there's a lot of lifestyle changes that go into having kids that go way above and beyond just who you fuck. Like that is one aspect that would probably change, but there's a lot of lifestyle changes that go into being conducive to a healthy family, right?
And that's something that you consider a hobby then, like your lifestyle is more like hobby-like?
Yeah, no? I guess, yeah.
Okay. Well, that's perfect, Dusty, and I appreciate your honesty in admitting that. So when you're talking about like, this is like something like, it's very transient, it'll change, it's not going to stay the same. I think with that being said, we actually have a common ground here where it's like, this is not a lifestyle that can be mass produced, that can be good for furthering our society as a whole, meaning a man and a woman and children and families and generations, etc. Would you want, another great question is, would you want this lifestyle for your son? Would you want him to engage in that? Or would you teach him that? I'm curious.
When I teach him, I don't know if I'm going to be showing my son the ropes on fucking multiple women. That sounds really awkward. But if he wanted to do this lifestyle, I mean, as long as he's responsible, uses birth control, is careful about STDs, yeah, I mean, he's free to pursue, I guess, what makes him happy, as long as it comports with what he wants in life.
Guess you don't want to be the coolest dad ever.
Sure.
And I don't mean like teaching in regards to like showing him exactly, but like, yeah, this is my lifestyle. And this, I think my point in all this is saying like, this type of, I don't like saying lifestyle because it sounds so ancient, but like this type of dynamic, I don't feel like it should be propaganda as something that works, because it truly doesn't. Like,
I mean, like relationships on average don't work. You understand that. Monogamous relationships don't work, right?
how we're doing them, they don't
No.
work.
Like the majority of relationships don't work. That's the like until you get married, your relationship is technically a failure, right? Like if you date somebody and break up, that relationship didn't work. Most relationships don't work. Even if we ignore the 50% of marriages end divorce, like most relationships don't end in marriage. So, but I mean, like that's part of life is you meet people. Sometimes you have friends, sometimes you lose friends, sometimes you date people, sometimes you break up with people. You might be poly for a while and decide you don't like it. You might be monogamous for a while and decide you don't like it. Like there are all sorts of different ways that we can explore relationships. The only negative thing you could do is try to hardcore prescribe one lifestyle to every single person and expect that everybody's going to vibe with it, because they might not. It's better to teach people like these are the things that can make you happy, learn how to explore them in a responsible way, learn how to keep your own happiness and fulfillment in mind, and then allow people to explore and see what works for them.
Yeah, I mean, I think that that's a very safe, like let's put a blanket on it type of like free love. And like in the 70s, like everyone was like, oh, let's do this.
Hold on, wait, hold on. Okay, you keep referring to my lifestyle in the most like ridiculous way possible, like free love blanket. Your prescriptions have failed and they're never coming back. I don't know if you realize that or not. We're never going back to traditional conservative relationships. So whatever you preach and whatever you sell people is a lie, right? So whatever you're preaching, whatever you're preaching is completely off the table. Every single industrialized country in the world has moved towards women having access to birth control and women being active in job markets. We're never going back to the other thing. So once you and everybody that preaches relationship dies out, it's gone forever. Just to be clear. Go ahead.
I don't know about that, because if that were to happen, then that would mean the functioning society that we know, where we have lineage dynamic, we have children. You have a child, but what if you hadn't had a child? Would you want to leave a life?
I understand what you're saying, but the people that will lead the next generation of figuring out how relationships look like will be people like me. People like you will be ignored, and then eventually you'll die out and you won't be there anymore. What we need right now to help people is not people saying, well, this is how relationships worked 100 years ago. Because guess what? In all of human history, we've never gone back. We've never regressed 100 years in relationship styles. So what's going to work for the future is people saying, hey, we live in a new world today. We need to adapt. How do relationships look when women have access to birth control and job markets? Because that's the future market that you need to prepare yourself for. If you're going to high school in the year 2010 and the school is telling you, hey, it's time to practice to become a coal miner because we might go back to that. No, that's not going to happen. When you go to school, they tell you, we're training you today for jobs that don't even exist yet. And I don't know why our approach to relationships would be any different. We're a more secular society than we've ever been. We're a more egalitarian society than we've ever been. We need to prepare people for that world and stop pretending like we're going to regress 100 years and go back to that.
I do agree with you that the rule book that we're using right now is greatly flawed. I'm not saying to go back to how things were hundreds of years ago. I'm referring to metaphysical principles that do not change. Positive and negative, masculine and feminine, that polarity attraction of a battery, of two magnets, that stuff doesn't go. And when you use that as a basis for understanding masculine and feminine dynamics in relationships, you can play with relationships in a way that is making our future better. It's not regressing. I believe the future is forward, not back.
How can you say that these won't change when women literally work jobs and have birth control? Those are two huge changes to structures of relationships.
But that is a dynamic that's being pushed by a society that wants more women working slave horses, workhorses, because women are more emotional. Hello, we spend irrationally. We're in the most credit card debt.
You spend irrationally. Men spend irrationally. What do you mean? Look, men don't see Kanye West wear a pair of scuba shoes and go and spend $250 on them. What do you mean? Men spend irrationally as well. But again, so is your prescription saying is the only way?
Show debt data.
Is your world going to go into an area where women stop working? Is that your solution? Because that's never going to happen.
Stop work. I'm saying that they're not foregoing being a mom, whether it's a wife or committed in a relationship. I'm not saying marriage is the only answer, because I realize that people have changed. I'm talking about dynamic of commitment. Like I said in the beginning, people aren't committing to anything anymore. Why? Because they can swipe left or right and find the next best thing and then trash that and go to the next and next and next. And when you talk about the repercussions of what we're doing with women's bodies in regards to birth control and how that's harming them and their chances of when they do want to have children, it being greatly adversely affected, and don't even get into all the cysts and tumors and cancers and polyps and things that are occurring because of the imbalance of hormones, because of the hormone-induced food that we're the food that we're ingesting, the dairy, the meat, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And we're just creating workhorses who are dependent on the government for their medication, for things that they need to calm their quote illnesses. They're going to work 9 to 5. Remember, a woman, or 9 to 9, really. A woman's hormones are not designed to be all over the place in regards to to working those crazy hours like men do.
Nothing you're saying even biologically. Women's hormones are probably designed to fluctuate way more than men's hormones. You have a whole cycle of fluctuation for hormones that men never even have to deal with at any point in their life.
Correct. I said that incorrectly. I'm saying they do circulate, but they're not supposed to be in a job where they're working those crazy hours like that and having to put all that energy and competing with other men. Their hormones are not designed for that. Where men's, they have testosterone. They're like, go. They get up in the morning. They're supposed to be driven. Single point of focus. Work. They come home. They want to relax, have their woman take care of, etc. Get their sexual needs.
Newsflash. Nobody enjoys that. Men don't like that either. Men don't enjoy wake up, work, come home until you die. Like,
get sexual stuff. Are you kidding? Like, what men are you talking to?
Literally every man ever. Men that don't work YouTube jobs. People don't enjoy going to like menial labor or shit, or even white collar work and work, and then come home like, oh, I feel like such a man today. I'm so happy that I fucking work. Why do we celebrate Fridays instead of Mondays? I mean, like,
I'm not saying that men enjoy. I'm not saying that any man enjoys that. That's why they're more entrepreneurial space. But I'm saying, in regards to men working and coming home and wanting to be able to relax and be able to sink into a place where they feel safe. They don't have to have their armor up. They're not out fighting battles. They can come in and then just be, consoled and connect with their women and have sex and all those things. That's what men want. In regards to what job that is, now that's a different story. Like, there's more entrepreneurs today than any other time in the future. But when you're talking about like the damage that we're doing to women, if you had a daughter, would you want her to be on virtual?
Yeah, yes, this is what women teach their daughter. How many women tell their daughters, hey, listen, I got knocked up at 18. You don't want to do this. Wear condoms, get the fucking implant, go on birth control. Yeah, of course. Who do you think is teaching daughters to take birth control? It's not their fathers. It's coming from the mothers.
Facts.
And they've never been taught any otherwise. They've never been taught how to take care of their womb, how to take care of their prevent their uterus from being taken out. It's the number one most avoidable surgery in the world for women is a prolapse uterus, and doctors are taking it like they're pulling out wisdom teeth because there's money in it.
Wait. Even women getting hysterectomies is incredibly challenging. What are we talking about? Prolapsed uterus?
When your uterus falls, and because those muscles have not been strengthened, and they have to have a hysterectomy. That's avoidable, but no one's. No, I'm saying that these things, women are not being educated properly on how to take care of their body.
How do you prevent
prolapsed uterus?
How do you prevent a prolapsed uterus?
Yeah, what does this even mean? I've never even heard of this before.
Am I not doing enough Kegels?
Really want to know, because if you really want to know, I'll tell you. There's a myriad of things you can do. Number one is you have to strengthen the muscles, because just like you go to the gym every day. Well, I don't know if you do. Most people go to the gym and they work out. Your yoni is a muscle, so if you're not working that out, then it's gonna prolapse. It's gonna fall. Just like if I quit lifting weights, this is gonna atrophy. So there's so many things that aren't being taught to women, which is the work I do.
Okay. Hold on. Wait. I don't want to go to this part. Okay. Go to the next thing. Sorry. Go ahead. Or I don't know how any of this I'm not sure where we're at right now.
Wait, hold on.
Let's get off the women uterus protection.
I want to stay on that.
I love it how the red pill gets so uncomfortable with it. Oh, we're talking about something that we go inside of. Oh my God, and they all freak out.
I don't care. We can talk about forever. I just feel like the chat.
No, he doesn't want it. Next topic, next. But this just leads me to show you that we're not educating our women properly.
Does sex help? Is that strengthening the muscle during sex?
No, that's actually making it worse, because you're creating like atrophy. So it's not saying don't have sex. I don't know what I could say. Good grief, but like
you can say whatever you want on my channel. I don't care.
Wait. Having sex creates atrophy?
Because if you're using when you're having sex, you're basically depending. I mean, you know what happens.
I don't think I do know what happens. I need to explain to it. Yeah, wait. When you're using, I'm curious where atrophy. Stop. Where does atrophy happen when you have sex? I'm curious now. I'm sorry.
What I'm saying is, like, a woman who's been ran through, guys can tell it, and they'll tell you, hey, it was not worth it. It was not worth hitting it. Not at all, because there was no elasticity.
Okay, hold on. You're trolling. Wait, stop. True. You're trolling me. Do you think there's a difference? Do you think there's a difference? What?
You guys are literally not even going here. You actually think that that's a myth?
Yeah.
Okay, first of all, hold on. You've had a child.
Correct. And let me tell you, if I told you the things that I've done to work that area of my body and the things I do on a daily basis, you would be shocked.
Okay, you don't have to do those things for your vagina to go back to normal.
I'm not saying it doesn't go back to normal, but normal is not quote good enough, because we know the stats on women's O's. Women are not orgasming.
Wait, women's orgasms have nothing to do with atrophying vaginas or being ran through.
Muscles, yes, they do. They actually do. If your muscles aren't tight, I'm not talking about a clit. Oh, by the way, that's the most common O and the least satisfactory for women. I'm talking about internal wall, real real orgasm. Okay. So you can't get those if you have loose walls. This is actually science. This is facts. Yes. And so if you have been run through...
Wait. What is the difference? Do you think there's a difference in the vagina power between being ran through by 50 different dicks or having one guy fuck you 50 times?
Okay.
Yeah.
Because because if a woman is in a relationship with a guy for 1 year, has she been ran through?
Okay. First of all, no, because she's with one person, so no, she's not.
Right.
Wait, how does the vagina detect whether it's a different dick each time or the same dick every time?
The amount of sex that women are having, when they're promiscuous or 304s, as y'all call them,
I don't call them that.
No, it's not. It's way less than a woman in a relationship.
Women in relationships have way more sex than single women.
No matter who the woman is, I don't care how much you're having, you have to work that muscle. It is a muscle, and if you don't use it, you lose it. That's what I'm saying. I don't care if it's from 50 guys or one guy, and you're wrong about sex, especially when it comes to marriage, because the number of married people, the amount of sex they're having in a marriage is 1 to 3 times on average, almost 40% of married couples. And the average is 50%. They're saying they have it 1 to 2 times, or about 40% of married couples are having sex 1 to 3 times a week. That's average.
That's okay.
That is
Jennelle, I think the question is like this. It's like,
that's not.
I think the question that he's trying
a lot more sex.
I think the question that Destiny's trying to pose is like, hey, listen, let's say you have 2 identical twins. One of them gets into a relationship with someone who has a monster schlong, like a 9-incher, and they have sex like 100 times throughout the year. And another girl who's single, and she has sex with like 4, 5, 10,
50 guys.
Yeah, 50 guys, right? But most of them don't have 9-inch cocks. They have like 6, 7-inch cocks. Like, why would she be less stretched out than the girl who's getting fucked 100 times?
Both of them are stretched out, is what I'm saying. And you have to do exercises to prevent that. I'm not saying the hoe versus the housewife is least or more, although the housewife having least sex, we know that from numbers. So I'm not saying relationships, I'm saying married couples. So I did say that.
I'm taking issue with the comment of ran through, because technically any woman that's had a lot of sex is ran through, even if she's in a one monogamous loving relationship.
Porn star, that's a perfect example.
No,
she has to work.
Yeah, but what I'm asking is, like, if a woman is married to a guy for 1 year, and then, or I'm sorry, if a woman's in a relationship with a guy monogamous for 1 year and breaks up, she's super ran through.
Yeah, she's had a lot of sex with that person, is what you're saying.
Yeah, but you would probably never call that woman ran through, would you?
No, because she's not having multiple partners.
Why does the vagina? Why does that matter?
I'm not okay. You're misunderstanding, or I'm not presenting myself more clearly. Whether they're having sex with one guy for a year or 50 guys for a year, they still have to do the vaginal exercises, is what I'm saying. In regards to being ran through, this woman's out there in the streets having community service with her yoni. That's what I'm calling ran through.
Sure, but I'm just being clear. If a woman goes out and fucks 50 guys over a year, but she does the yoni exercises, and another woman is in a kind, loving, monogamous relationship for a year and she doesn't, she's going to have a worse vagina in your world than the woman who's fucking 50 to 100.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying they both have to do the yoni exercises.
No, yeah, I know, but I'm saying if the one woman that gets quote unquote ran through does the yoni exercises, her vagina is going to be better than the pure monogamous woman who doesn't do the yoni exercises.
Oh,
I don't think she's saying that anymore. I think she
No, I'm not saying that. You're right, Destiny. I'm going with the girl who's ran. She's gonna have the yoni because she's been doing the exercises. She's been steaming. Yeah, absolutely, 1,000%. You understood me correctly.
Okay.
Yeah, Destiny.
And it doesn't matter.
I think her position is a little bit like, I think initially it sounded like that. That's kind of the way I heard it too. But I think now she's saying something a little different. She's saying it doesn't really.
I'm saying both men have to, just like both guys have to work out in the gym, period. It doesn't matter if one guy was like, yes, if he's genetically gifted, it helps. But even over time, I deal with athletes. I'm dear friends with athletes. If they don't work out, they eventually start losing.
Sure, I understand what you're saying. Alex, I'm just a quick moderator side discussion. Have you fucked a woman that does a lot of Kegels?
I'm sure I have, but I can't remember one.
I've been with a few. If a woman does Kegels, all she can do is tighten the entrance. The inside walls of the vagina don't all become tighter. Like, it's not like the whole thing super tightens up. Like, some women, the inside of every woman's vagina is different. Like, some of them feel really good, some of them are kind of weird, some of them have extra compartments in them, but like every vagina is different. I don't think just doing Kegels is going to dramatically change.
Right.
Like,
I'm not talking about just Kegels, because
Yeah,
Kegels, it would be,
the thing
it would
that
be
I
like
kind of
let me finish, Alex, please.
go ahead.
You're correct, Destiny. You're absolutely correct. If you don't mind, let me just finish this point. He's correct. I'm not talking about Kegels. Kegels is fairly useless. It'd be like if you went to the gym and did this. If you add weights to the dynamic, then it's going to be different, because now there's resistance. So the protocol isn't just Kegels. I have actual weighted eggs that go in the yoni, and you move them up and down.
Wait, okay,
Is
to be
this
clear,
an
wait,
infomercial
stop.
for
No,
her
it's not. Stop.
Kegels?
Okay, to be clear, no woman, like, it's very weird that this would be a required thing for the human vagina to work when historically women have never done this. Like,
Oh, okay. Back to your comment on different sizes and shapes of yonis. You're absolutely correct. There's 3 different sizes, just like for men. There's 3 different sizes of penis and vagina, and they go better with different ones. So that's the Kama Sutra. That's a whole nother thing. You're absolutely correct on that as well. So she had surgery. Great.
Why
and
don't-
she can do that.
Do you call it yoni just for YouTube purposes, or?
No, that's what I call it in everyday life. That's what it's referred to in the Sanskrit. It means it's like portal of the universe. It sounds way better than vag to me. So I say yoni.
Like
it's
vag.
just
dumbass.
better.
Like vag.
Yeah, go with that. The lefts love vag, but for me, it's kind of like it's
Like
offensive, and I hate the P word. It's disgusting. I can't even say it.
Okay, stop. Stop.
All right,
Okay.
wait,
Yeah, where are we at now, right now?
let's move on from the vagina.
True.
Never
We talked a good amount
get
about it.
deep in that vagina conversation.
Stop.
You want to go deep?
No.
That's why there's a lot of people not satisfied, because they're paired with the wrong size and shape.
No.
And that's-
Okay, I'm sorry. Hold on. Because I've got an audience listening, and this is like the worst sex advice I've ever heard in my life. The reason why women don't achieve orgasm is because socially, women are conditioned to be way too submissive and way too agreeable to men. So a lot of women, 1, don't even masturbate. If a woman doesn't masturbate, doesn't know how to get herself off, there's no way that another part is going to get her off. And 2, because women oftentimes don't pursue orgasm in sex for a variety of reasons. I think that relate to them being agreeable and not wanting to push stuff during sexual encounters. Men will always push for an orgasm because sex is considered failed if the man doesn't come. And oftentimes, men don't get training on how to get women off. And women oftentimes don't push for the orgasm, so the men never have to actually learn. This is why women don't orgasm during sex. Yeah.
I think you said one thing that's a big part of it, but you went through it really quickly. I think the biggest part of it is how good the man is in bed. If the guy busts a nut in 2 minutes, the girl has pretty much no chance.
That's what I just said.
If
I
the
like
guy can fuck the girl for like an hour, then she'll probably have cum, especially when he knows what he's doing and he can turn her on the right way. Some girls obviously have a naturally easier time to coming, and sometimes it's a comfort thing. Like some girls just need a good amount of comfort before they can come. There's a lot of factors, but yeah, a lot of it has to do with the performance and the technique the guy's putting on.
No, it's not. That's partially true. It's the average man lasts 5 to 7 minutes. The average woman takes 20 to 40 for her to orgasm. So you are correct.
What? No.
Yes.
No, that is true.
That's just not. Hold on. If you're fucking a woman for 40 minutes, or
My
what do we?
finger would get tired.
Modern psychology, and you
No,
are
she's right about that. I don't know if it's 20 to 40. I think it might be 20 to 30, but yeah, she's on the
20 to 40 minutes, and the average man is 5 to 7. And you're right, Destiny. I wasn't saying that's the only reason. I was saying one of those. In order to have those deep internal vaginal orgasms, you have to have tight walls. That can be achieved. But you are correct. A lot of women will not ask for what they want. They expect a man to make them come when they can't even make
I don't
themselves.
think it has to do with tight walls. I think it has to do with the angle of the dick and the part of the vagina inside that you're hitting, not whether or not you're in a tight walled area or not.
If it is, when I say tight, I mean pliable. It's able to go up and move. It's not just tight, because if it's tight, that's like virgin stuff, and that's not fun either.
Like me.
But it's not just the walls. I'm saying that's one attribute. It is a lot of psychological things. Women have had trauma. Women won't ask what they want. Women haven't explored
Okay, I'm sorry. Just to
themselves.
understand, when you say like a wall orgasm, are you talking about a G-spot orgasm, or are you talking about something different?
One of them, but there's multiple. There's 11 forms of orgasm, and I won't even go into them today. But what I'm saying is, like, here's the concept. You're correct, Destiny. It is that a lot of women are not asking for what they want. They're told to be submissive in sex, and I agree with you on that. Women have to be able to self-explore themselves, make themselves orgasm, throw away their vibrators. They are not helping, because a man's dick can never do that. So they're desensitizing themselves. And men need to learn how to last longer. and how to be able to move into the right positions if your walls and your shape is longer than your guy's penis, and or vice versa. So all that is to take into consideration. There's so many factors on orgasm. And not even mentioning that orgasm happens in the brain, and ejaculation for men is at the base of the spine. So orgasm's happening here.
Okay. I don't know if I want to fight on every sex topic right now, so it's up to you where you want to go with this, Alex.
Let's move on to this point. So,
Okay.
Destiny, you said that you feel Jennelle, as you say, your words, ultimate pick-me girl. Can you lay out your argument for why that's the case?
Anybody that talks about how women need to be submissive and take leadership and orders from men, and the ultimate like dream and desire of women is to produce children for men and to support men. I just think it's a really gross point of view. I think it's incompatible with how today's world works, and I don't think most women that have had the luxury of exploring their autonomy in society would like wish for that type of worldview. Like this is exclusively stuff you hear from men that want to be very controlling or whatever.
I think that's, with all due respect, like the pick me thing, that's been beat to death. Like, let's come up with another term because it's so like cliche. Oh, pick me term.
Too many people slaughter that.
Just stop.
No, actually, no. Not really. I've had a few trolls online who said that because they didn't like my views around women. But I don't have to pick me. The men come, dear. They come. Trust me. In regards to that notion that just because a woman stands up for more traditional values in regards to sexual polarity doesn't mean she wants to be picked. It means that she's more in tune with her her natural, nurturing feminine energy, which we need more of that. As if you have a son, would you prefer your baby mom, ex-wife, I don't know what she was, it's not my business, would you prefer her to have been in the streets or in the business world rather, working, slaving away 9 to 5 and having her son in preschool, or would you have preferred her to be nurturing at home, breastfeeding, and if you say that breastfeeding is not a plus, then we have some
I didn't
real
say
issues.
Breastfeeding is not a plus. What I said is sometimes breastfeeding can be difficult. That it's not all women.
A lot of women don't try. A lot of women do not try.
That's great that you're saying that. All I'm saying is there's a lot of factors going into a woman being able to produce healthy amounts of breast milk and feed the child. There's a lot of other stresses and shit that can happen post birth that can make it difficult. I would, after your description of how a vagina works, I don't think I would trust you on anything related to the female anatomy. So if anything, I'm just speaking to my audience, okay?
You probably couldn't name half the parts on a vagina.
Maybe I couldn't, but I wouldn't have a 15-pound yoni ball hanging out of a woman's vagina in order to get her to come. So yeah.
Well, I haven't gotten up to 15 yet. I filled a water, so what's that way? But anyway, that's neither here nor there. I'm not telling women they have to do that, but I'm saying to at least use the eggs without the weights. It's a great practice, and it's been proven to help tighten the walls and to keep this very, very unfortunate surgery that a lot of, like, if a doctor's telling you to take an organ out of your body, it's probably not a good idea. Obviously, if it comes to that, you have to listen, but if there's a way you can prevent that, why would we not tell women this? But to answer back to the question, Destiny, would you prefer your child's mother to be at home nurturing and giving
having a parent stay home is always really good. Yeah, I think
So then you right there, dear, you have a child. And I feel like you said he's my son's age. So you understand, you know what that's like to have the mom there and how important that is, especially in the early years, for that child to have that very healthy relationship and bond with his mother. Now imagine in a terrible world that didn't happen, that whole experience of your son. How sad would your life be? How different would it be?
My life or his life?
Your life, the child's mother's life, like how different and how different would it be, and how unfortunate would it be if that hadn't happened?
Wait, I'm so sorry. I missed for his life or for my life or for the mother's life?
Okay, so I'll just use myself as.
Or no, wait. I'm sorry. Just raise the question. I can answer the question. I'm sorry. I just didn't understand. Like you said, how sad would it be for who? For my kids?
How sad would it be? I don't even want to like saying this. If this situation with your son being brought into this life didn't happen, how sad would that be for you and your child's mother?
Well, I mean, that's a hard one. That's like asking a heroin addict if you want heroin or not. Like, my son is born now, so obviously I love my son and I'm glad that he's here. But I mean, given an opportunity to postpone having a child until we were in a more stable place so that I could raise a child in like a 2-parent household where that didn't happen, that'd probably be preferable. But it's a weird question to ask once he's already here, right? Like, my child was very clearly a mistake, but I still love him to death. Like, he's kind of come visit a week to hang out for a week. Like, yeah, I mean, I love him, but yeah, it's a weird question to ask. Like,
it is a weird question, and I only said it because I wanted you to imagine like how different your life would be had he not been here. My whole point is women are missing out on that blessing of having a child who I'm sure you would do anything for. If give up your business, give up your anything for your child. He's your seed. He's a part, the best part of you. I hope is him, right? He's your to me. That's how I feel about my son. He's the best part of me, and his voice will live on when I'm gone. And if I raised him right, then he'll have a lot of this ideology. So he'll be on a soapbox as well. But my whole point is, imagine this is not happening for so many women because we push the agenda of we don't need to commit to anything. We can just go out in the workplace, work ourselves to death, take our uterus, not have O's, have cats. You don't need a man. We can have a few men if we want. We can have a few women. Like, there's just no level of commitment that's being driven into our culture anymore. And imagine had you guys not have your child, I'm trying to say, like, that would have been a sad thing.
I don't know if that's true. I think not having our child when we did and then waiting for some number of years probably would have been highly preferable, considering he now lives in a split parent household. What do you mean?
I'm not saying waiting. I'm saying if it never happened at all, if he never came to this planet.
It's a flawed question for reasons that it would take too long to explain. But I mean, like, there are people who are probably better off not having children. But I mean, once you've what?
I agree with that.
Okay,
yeah,
but you can take a person who, this is called a transformative experience in behavioral econ, okay? You can take a person that would have been better off not having a child, and then you can make them have a child, and then once they have the child, it's not like they're gonna say like, fuck, I don't want this kid. Like, they're gonna love their child once you've had the child, right? It's the same thing as like, people are better off not doing heroin ever, but once you've got a person addicted to heroin, and you ask them, how do you feel about heroin? So depending on if they're high or not, they're gonna go like, I fucking love heroin, it's awesome, right? But it's not really fair to ask the question past the transformative experience, right?
I do understand that. However, heroin in a child is just much different because
I'm not trying to say heroin and child are the same. I'm just saying that to try to make the argument by saying ask the person. I mean, like, that's a hard, like, you can ask a woman if, you know, she's happy that she wears a burqa and she might say yes. And you can ask another woman if she's happy to be able to have her tits out in New York City and she might say yes. It's just phrasing the question is ask the person probably isn't the best way to make the argument, in my opinion.
I was literally trying to get you to understand, like, imagine what your life would be like without your son. You kept saying, and you kept bringing up, I listened very carefully because I've studied it, so I'm very much so listening to the words and the uses of words. You kept saying later, after we had more stable, 2-income household, et cetera, et cetera. I'm saying not at all. And I know you don't want to admit it, but you would never not want your son to be here on this planet.
I mean, it depends. Life offers a lot more than children these days, right? Like, life offers a lot more than just children these days. On one end,
understanding you. I'm so sorry.
Life.
I apologize.
Life
offers.
Yes.
I apologize.
Yeah, I
got you.
Life offers more than children these days, right? In one world, like, I love animals. I love kids. I like things like that. It's just fun for me. It's fun to play with children. It's fun to have kids to do things. That's super fun for me. And I enjoy it. So I could see a world where I have like 3 or 4 kids. I come home from work and I like get to hang out with my dudes that are running around and shit. That would be super fun and awesome for me. But I can also see a world where I never have kids and I'm, doing my business stuff and I'm pursuing it 1,000,000%. And I might maybe even sharing that time with the woman I love. And there's like a lot of other accomplishments and achievements that I could pursue. Not having a child at all. Like, I can see both of these worlds as being incredibly fulfilling. I'm just not arrogant enough to say that like one is definitely better than the other. That's up to the individual, right?
Well, yeah, but you're in that position now where you have, and I guess for me, this is what is wrong with our society. And I'm sure you're a phenomenal father and you love your son. I can't imagine you not. You seem like you're healthy mentally and all those things. Your faculties are all there. That the fact that you would even say that, like, I don't know, maybe it would be better, like, if my business was successful and like my son wasn't, like, that to me is, I think, the problem I have with the dynamics of relationship today, when they're teaching people to be so focused on themselves, so happy, so this, and you're right, to have a child, it's incredibly selfless. You have to give up a lot of things. You have to devote time to them when you don't want to. You have to maybe not spend money the way you used to before because now you have mouths to feed, braces, etc. And we've come to a society that's like, oh, me. I heard you say a few times, this is fun. Having kids, this is fun. I like playing with kids. This is fun. It's like, having children is so much more than just being fun. Like, it's a sacrifice. It's a lot to it. As you know, it tests you sometimes. You become a better human, but you're also leaving a legacy and you're providing a gift of life, not only to your son, but the lives that your son will touch. And that is like, that can't even be, like, the scales can't even be argued on, like, the value of that over just having a more successful YouTube career. And I put those words in your mouth. So
sure, that's fine. I mean, I totally disagree. I think you can absolutely weigh these things against each other. I think people are doing it all the time, and people have been doing it in one direction. And if you want people to have more kids, you need to make a better argument for the other direction. It can't just be children are miracles. Like, people can look around, like, children are cool, but I mean, like, again, like, cockroaches have kids. Like, everybody can have children. I think it has to be a more compelling argument than just like, wow, children, miracles. Like, okay, I mean, like you said, there's a big sacrifice that goes along with it too. But I mean, the foundation has to be built on strong relationships.
I think, if I can just jump in for a second.
You're the host. You can do whatever you want, Alex. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Jennelle, I think most people, especially parents, would probably agree with you, but there is a small percentage of people, or maybe it's getting bigger, that would disagree with you. That would say there's more to life than just procreating. They would say that there's their passions, their relationships they build, their fucking pets, whatever. I mean, I think that for me personally, I don't really have a good answer on this, but I don't have any kids, and I'm pretty happy. I don't really want to have kids at any point in my life. I feel like my legacy can be more than just like a biological, whatever, child. I feel like it could be the things I accomplish in the world, and kind of the influence I have. So I don't really have a good answer to this, but I do kind of agree with Destiny when he says that it varies person by person. For some people, like if you ask like my mom, like her biggest accomplishment, like she will say, is having me. Like that's the thing that gave her the most value. And my mom wasn't like some like dumb stay-at-home Russian chick. Like she had a degree, she had a career, and she would still say it was me. Versus like if you ask like, I don't know, like someone who never had a kid, like they might say like, no, like actually what I accomplished in politics, what I accomplished in my field was actually more important to me. Or sometimes it can be a little bit of 50-50. So I do think it kind of depends on the person.
It depends on the person and their values. And I think that's the issue today. We're in a very egocentric society today where people are so focused on themselves and I heard Destiny say that a lot, and I love that you're happy, but like it's like, what makes me happy? But there's just so much more to life than how happy I am today. It's like, what is the contribution that you're giving the world? And when you bring a child into the world, that child potentially could be the next president, could be this, could be a doctor who saves thousands of lives, or whatever the case may be. He also, like Destiny said, could be a kid that goes into a school and does unfortunate things. So he's absolutely correct on that as well. There are people who should not be procreating. I just feel for the dynamic today where it's like, what makes me be happy the most, and not about like what is, I guess in utilitarianism, what's the greater good for the, like what is for the greater good here? Are we all about just pleasure, and everyone is just free to like move in and out of open relationships and this and that, and there's just no real commitment?
Yeah, again, I gotta push back, because I run into so many people that have like your style of brain, and you're incapable. And the reason why you don't reach anybody when you talk about these things is because the way you summarize the other side is so ridiculous. I can give as accurate summation of your side. Okay, the idea of giving birth to a child and the magic of raising him with another person, seeing them grow and develop into something, seeing them go out into the world and contribute, seeing your name, your legacy, your DNA, and everything live on, like the one, and all of the responsibilities and the gifts and the love and the hate and everything that goes into that. I can see that being a fun and rewarding experience. But then to go on the other side and be like, and some people just want to grow their YouTube channels, and that's so like fucking transient and egotistical and stupid. Like that's such a stupid like summation of what the other side is. Like some people have incredibly enriching and fulfilling lives by pursuing careers, and sometimes the people that do that, did Einstein have kids?
I don't.
He had like a bunch of bitches though.
Sure.
Really?
Did Plato and Aristotle have children?
He was
like,
an open
there's probably been.
relationship.
I think Isaac Newton was a virgin.
Sure. There's probably been a lot of people that have made really important contributions to like the world that didn't pursue families, that didn't have children. Fuck, in the Catholic Church, if you do holy orders as a man, or if you're, I think even if you're a nun, you also take vows of celibacy.
Yeah,
so these are people that make.
Tesla was one of them.
Sure. Okay. These are people that like. There are people that make like significant contributions to the world that don't necessarily have children, where the pursuit of their career has actually contributed more to mankind in one way or another than just pumping out a few more children. So I mean, like if I was to summarize like your worldview, the way that you summarize mine, I would say that the honorifics, the pursuit of the maximum virtue that you can achieve in society will only be hindered by spitting out more children. You should be pursuing your talents to the most, so that you can be the best doctor you can be, the best artist you can be, the best movie maker, the best sailor, the best engineer, and for you to go home and to just some random woman and produce 2 or 3 more little oxygen suckers in the world when you're depriving the entire world of your talents is such a waste of what you can be. That would be like me summarizing your argument. I don't like it when you keep summarizing my side as like these dumb hobbies that don't mean anything when you can have kids instead. Okay.
I didn't say that about you, like, oh, that all you want to do is grow your YouTube channel. In all fairness, I never said
bitches.
that.
Yeah, you're literally just saying like just hop from relationship to like every time you summarize my position, you make it sound like so silly and hollow and stupid. But like, no offense, there's a lot of shitty parents that have a lot of shitty kids that probably shouldn't bother. Like that happens. Like,
I agree with you. And listen, even in my path, which is not for the masses, I just teach the principles of it. We don't get married, we don't have kids. So I'm not saying that kids is the answer. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying robbing women of that opportunity to have children if they want to, and to be with one man and commit to him, whether that's in marriage or just a committed monogamous relationship. That is not it either. Because you said, like, be the best doctor, be the best this, save these lives. For who, if no one's having kids anymore? If all of us are saying, like, you're telling people be selfish and just be you, well, then what are all these people doing? Who are we serving if there's no more people that are being procreated? So I'm saying, like, let's give them, the women, the option for that before it's too late.
Sure,
because
women still have the option to do it. No one's taking it from them.
Yes, they do. No, they don't to a certain age, dear. We talked about this in the very beginning. Like, say if a woman has been brainwashed her whole life to be in the workforce, to create, to go, to drive at home, to be the best, this. All she does is getting credit card debt and all this stuff, and she's working. Then she wakes up one day and she's like, oh my God, I want to have a child. She's never had her eggs frozen. And then she's like, oh my gosh, it's too late.
I agree that would be bad, but on the flip side, it's also bad if you're telling a girl, like, 18 years old, get married, have a child, no career. At 18 years old, you better go to the house, don't do anything. 18 years old, you better have a kid. Like, that's equally as bad, if not worse. And
if you divorce, it's your fault still, because women do most of the divorces.
And if you divorce, you're going to be a single parent. It's your fault. You've ruined it. Like,
stupid single mom now with no education, nonetheless. Wow, what a 304.
I 1,000% agree with you on that I'm not advocating for I think 18 is still a child for child marriages, even though that's an adult at that point, but they're still young. You don't know, do you really know what you want at 18? You're still exploring, you're still figuring it out. So I'm not advocating for that either. I just think that the leftist agenda to kind of take women out of that option of having that and really force this other agenda on them, I think is detrimental. When you look at, I don't know if you were raised in a 2-parent household or what your upbringing was like. I'd be curious to find out, because I feel like that could provide some context to maybe some of your viewpoints now. I'm sure, what, did you want to say something, Lauren?
2 parents, yeah. Both of us.
You don't know that about me. I could have lied about my history. Sorry, keep going. Go ahead.
2 parents, both of us, yeah.
Correct. And I was raised overtly in a cult. And so for me, my overtly religious in a Christian fundamental cult. And so for me, my viewpoints are definitely different, and it's shaped how I think as well. But I think that in regards to your child today, you said it a few times, you would want him, you wish you would have waited, and you wish you would have this. I think the lack of the family dynamics with their children, and maybe it is because they're in the work, and maybe it is because they don't have enough money to raise their children, and so they're gone working and someone else is raising them for them, that we're not creating healthy, embodied young men and women that are comfortable in their body, comfortable in their sexuality, understand how their anatomy works. Most women can't point out more than 2 things on a graph if you show them their yoni. They don't know how it works. They don't know how their body works. And then you have all these women going out freeballing, or just offering their yoni up on a silver platter like they're offering shots in the club, not understanding the ramifications of that, not understanding that, and then they're on birth control, which is greatly altering their already very fluctuating hormones. And these are real damaging things that we're not talking about. And this is one of the reasons why I pray to God I never have a girl. I'm like, please, when I have another child, I'm just manifesting a boy, because these are very scary issues for women today.
Can you explain what you mean by you were born in a cult?
No, wait, that's a whole other, because we can't even, we don't want, we're going to stay no, I don't, but if you want to leave soon to go to Pixie's party.
I do want to leave soon.
Okay, then we don't want to get into all of that, okay?
Okay, but I am curious. Someone send me the lore, please.
I talk about it as well. When my TED Talk comes out, you can definitely, I talk about it. Yeah, I mean, that's a whole other topic.
Okay.
Definitely. I'm just saying that people's the way they grew up was very, there's a woman, Salma Isadora, who is in the same line of work that I do. She was quite big, but she unfortunately, did things. And so she's no longer here. We have very similar upbringing. So if you Google her, you'll find out the same situation. All I'm saying is that a lot of things like that happen, they greatly affect, like, obviously how I operate, how I think, and my beliefs. And I think when I look at what's going on today with this fast food culture, what's cheapest, instant gratifications, clicking, scrolling, the average view is 7 seconds, you got to change the next slide. Like, it's just like a cheap, fast world. Cheap, fast world. And that's how I feel a lot of the leftist relationship dynamics are. I'm not saying all of it. And that's what I don't advocate for. If you tell me, Destiny, you're deeply committed to Melina, you guys are in love, you guys are doing this, you're doing that, you're like committed to her, you're committed to growing your relationship, and this is just a sexual preference, and I'm like, okay, I can respect you, but I just feel that a lot of times in this free for all polyamory, polygamy world, it's the men just wanting to have legal, if you will, multiple women and multiple partners, and they don't understand the intricacies of what that really takes for a man to manage all those women. I've been in Dubai with a royal family. I see how it works. These women's homes are very much so boom, 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 cookie cutter, and they're all in the same direction from the sheikh's house. Like, it's a system, and they kind of perfected it, which is why polygamy works in those cultures. I think and they're very committed to these women, and the women are committed to them. These types of things I agree with. So, and I think most conservative women wouldn't say that. I'm like, damn, I've been there in Dubai. I see their level of commitment. I'm like, all right, he's mastered it. So I'm not against it. I am against just the do whatever, like a lot of the stuff I see in the red pill teaching men. Yes, I agree. Get your body right, get your mind right, do personal development work. I've done thousands upon thousands of dollars and hours work of personal development work. I am an advocate for that. Get your money right. Yes, men should be doing that. Invest, save. But the stuff about like just go F bitches and and it's a box and don't spend, like, this stuff, this propaganda is damaging. And that's the stuff that I'm not with at all. And I'm also not with the women who aren't accountable for their actions either. Let's be honest. These women are acting like, a fast food parlor, like, here, fries for everyone. Like, that's not okay either. So I think a lot of people have me messed up because they're like, oh, conservative, but I really am calling the pot the kettle. Like, it's both sides, and we have major work to do, I believe.
Yeah, that would be a disagreement you would have with me more than Destiny. I think Destiny would say that, like, yeah, man, do your thing. There's no right or wrong. I think Destiny would fire back against the whole you have to fuck 50 girls before getting a relationship thing.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. But
you disagree with that as well?
Yeah, of course. I don't. Yeah.
Yeah, he would disagree. He would disagree with that. I was going to ask this. The one part that I disagreed with when you were going on your speech was that you mentioned that, like, you'd be really scared to have a girl. I guess, like, the way I think of it, if I did have a kid, I would be equally scared to have a dude, if not potentially more. Like, what if your male boy turns out to be a serial killer, incel? Like, I don't know. I mean, there's problems that face girls, there's problems that face guys, but I don't think I would be, like, more worried about having a girl. I think I would probably be equally worried, if not potentially more worried, about having a guy.
Really? The statistics, I haven't personally looked them up, of your son becoming a serial killer, it has to be very, very, very small. And
yeah, but Alex's son? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
I'm just fucking.
It's like a 90%. It's almost a guarantee.
I was going to say, in his demographic, that would fit because they're mostly white. Like, the white ones are the wild ones, right? Like, it's true.
I'm 1% Middle Eastern, so don't.
So that's a serial killer with one blast. Oh.
No, but okay, yeah, you're right. That is, like, pretty uncommon. But the chance of him being an incel is actually pretty decent. It's like 20% or something like that. I don't know. It's rising every year.
Is it really?
It's something like taking people under 30. 28% of them said they haven't had sex in the last 10 years.
I'm an incel.
Yeah, but that's just because the OnlyFans culture and men don't want to go out and get rejected anymore. They don't want to go out and make that effort. And then women are seeing that and taking advantage of it and saying, hey, I'm going to monopolize on this. Like a man, like you can't go, Alex, tomorrow and say, I'm going to start an OnlyFans and make $1 million. I can, like maybe 10 years ago, whatever. Well, but I'm just like, it's different. And Destiny could, because he's in a different position. He has a massive following, etc. I'm saying your average Joe.
Oh, what the f***? Destiny's more popular than me?
Barely.
I don't know. I don't know. I'm not like this. I don't
Destiny could start an OnlyFans and I can't. No, you're right. I mean, I could not make a lot of money. I could probably make like a little bit of money doing OnlyFans, but yeah, it's not going to be a lot of money.
But this goes back to the dynamic of, I feel like we failed in the aspect of masculine, feminine polarity and dynamics in regards to like how we channel that energy into the real world. Men are afraid to be in the real world. That's why there's VR games. That's why there's OnlyFans. They're like, I'd rather just pay a girl and get off that way than actually go out into the world, have to work out, have to work, get money, take her out, and still get rejected. So,
yeah, that's a shame. Yo, I want to ask, unless you guys have more that you want to go back and forth on.
Nope, go ahead. What do you want to ask?
I was going to ask you this question. This is for Destiny. So what kind of evidence would I need to show you that in a one-way relationship, the girl has just as much self-esteem as in any other relationship? Like, what would it take for you to change your mind on this?
It's probably going to be, because of the thing we're talking about, this would probably be like a conversational or whatever, I guess. Like it would literally be like single case. Like I'd have to talk to someone. I don't know, it just seems kind of, yeah.
So if you talk to someone who is in a happy one-way open relationship where the girl has high self-esteem, then you would change your perspective?
Possibly, yeah. If I started to build up like a healthy repertoire of people that were like that, yeah.
So it would have to be multiple people?
Yeah, because most of the people I know in open relationships are both sides open. I don't know a single I don't know a single person that's in like a one-sided open relationship where, yeah, I just don't know any of those people.
Yeah, I know a few. How many do you think it would have to be, just ballpark?
It would depend on the strength of the testimony, I guess, right? Like if I talk to one woman and she's like, yeah, I do the one-sided open, you know, because, you know, like my boyfriend's like 38 and I'm like 20 and he's like a really big YouTuber and like, well, like then I'd be like, yeah, this doesn't mean anything to me. But like there's testimony out there that would convince me. I would just have to build like a repertoire. I don't know like what the exact number is. Like I'm pretty in anecdotal land here when I think about stuff like this.
Oh, where'd she go?
Oh. I don't know. She's probably having tech issues.
She's coming back, don't worry.
Okay, so you just answer this question brutally honestly. You won't hurt my feelings. What was the strength of the testimony of my girlfriend? Where would you put it?
The brutally honest answer is I just don't know you two that well. We've hung out a few times and it's fun like talking to you, but I haven't like done a deep dive into like your girlfriend's like personal history or anything to like figure out like why she's okay with it or why she's not.
All right, babe, we're gonna have to get interviewed by Destiny. This is gonna be the next step in converting Destiny. That's like one of the very few things I disagree with you about. But yeah, interesting discussion so far. All right, let me read some super chats. Just have respect for people who send that. Okay. Jennelle, the fact you're using Pearl as any positive example, respectively, you're talking circles outside of your mouth. Okay.
The Gray Pill podcast. What does he talk about? UFOs?
No, I've been on the Gray Pill podcast. He's cool.
Oh, it sounds like UFOs.
He's like
the Grays?
He's like Black YouTube.
Okay.
Yeah, he's cool.
I'm not saying he's not cool. I'm just saying it sounds like...
You sound like
Jennelle, I don't ramble on talking.
I like Angela, too.
Also, can you land the plane sooner when you round off? What's up, Angela? Always good to see you. Yeah, Angela's chill. Where does dude get coming to space with blue hair? He's trying to bring that 2016 SJW energy back. Hashtag Trump 2024.
What?
Base.
True. There you go. He's finally using that word right.
That's basically it. Yeah, I hope she's coming back.
Oh, don't worry, she is.
I had a few things for her too. I enjoyed your Nick Fuentes, Myron Sneeko little duo or whatever the fuck is 4 people. It's not duo.
Quado. Foursome, yeah. But that feels kind of weird saying foursome. No, not for Destiny. Loves it.
Okay, what else do you have here, Alex? What do you want to
do? If she doesn't come back, I'd like to open up the panel if you got like 20 minutes.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
All right, guys, panel is open, so come on.
Hey, what's up, buddy? You have a very angry demeanor. I'm not saying you are angry, but you're very intense.
It's my Danish genetics.
Like if the actor for Khal Drogo couldn't make the next season in like Game of Thrones, he could be that guy.
I feel it.
Yeah.
I've been told that before.
Okay, what's up?
So you guys talking about like kids and relationships and marriage or what? Just kids?
What a little bit of everything, I think. Yeah, whatever.
And loose pussies.
Oh yeah.
Loose pussies?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah.
Don't those go hand in hand?
Maybe. If you don't do your Kegel balls, who knows?
Yeah. With weights, weighted. Don't
Yeah,
forget
it has to be
weighted.
weighted, obviously.
What's the main thesis here, argument? What are you guys trying to...
Are you just calling and asking for the summary of the last 2 hours? What the fuck?
Yeah, I wasn't paying attention.
Yeah, neither was I.
Apparently, here's the summary. Okay, if you want to have good sex, you need to get big ass balls, put them in your vagina, and hold them there for hours while you do podcasts. And that's the key to a better tomorrow. I think that's about where we left off.
And be submissive to men.
That too, babe.
Yeah, it's super
A
base.
little bit of red pill kind of stuff.
Yeah.
What's the leading argument?
Women are retarded and men are leaders. And
Jeremy,
we know
it's
what we
going
want.
to take a while if we have to sum everything up. So,
Well, I just feel like give me something to work with. I mean, can I argue with somebody a point, or do I just have to say kids?
the thing is, you got to kind of pay attention to the discussion.
Okay. Well, my whole thing with kids, and I mean, obviously, it comes down to a personal preference. I like to think in terms of biology, and I think that in terms of when people get to a certain biological checkpoint, say 30, 40, the brain starts producing certain chemicals to reproduce. And if you don't reproduce by that certain biological checkpoint, you're going to hit certain, menopausal kind of hormonal shit. That's gonna hit. So I think in terms of having kids, you got to figure out what you want and what makes you happy, but you also have to consider the fact that you kind of are stuck in some type of genetic blueprint in which if you go outside of that and you don't fulfill certain genetic or biological checkpoints, like having kids, I say that's pretty wired into our DNA, would you not?
Is this why everyone on Twitter keeps reminding me about a clock? Some sort of a clock?
That's your clock.
Okay.
But the clock doesn't apply to you because of the cock that
does.
applies to you. Okay.
Jeremy, I appreciate
Thanks,
you.
Jeremy.
Let me get the
Yeah, anyways, I'm just saying it's a biological thing. Having
Okay.
kids, if you don't have kids, you're going to feel stagnant at the age of 40 to 50.
Okay.
And then you're going to
appreciate you. All right, let's bring on the next person. I know he was paying attention. Brad, what's up?
Hey, what up, guys?
What's up? Okay, you kick it off. I'm going to take a piss.
Okay, cool. Dude, Destiny, I want to say I'm actually a fan of you, bro. Even though, overall I'm pretty conservative, but I watch a lot of your channel. And every time you go on Fresh and Fit and talk
Thanks,
with Sneak
buddy.
on Nick, it's always pretty entertaining.
Cool.
So,
Thanks a lot.
yeah. You and Radical Coder, for some reason, are two guys from the left, actually.
Oh, interesting. I hate that radical. No, I don't hate Radical Coder. He's okay. We argue a lot. But no, he's a cool guy, I guess, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So I want to start by saying, Lauren, towards the second half of the debate, you did chill out, but in the first half, you were very disrespectful, I must say.
Towards this lady,
Yeah.
the one that came on. Okay,
were.
Just in general, because it was supposed to be a one-on-one debate, unless I don't know what you worked out behind the scenes. But
Well, I did. I asked Alex if she could join us, to be fair. Yeah.
and
Okay,
also
yeah, probably-
she came in swinging with the whole Melina thing.
right. So I don't remember exactly what was said word for word. I just
She called
remember the
Melina
first half.
masculine,
Okay.
and that was
So-
when she lost me. So maybe I was rude, but I didn't like the way that she was disrespecting Melina. Melina's not even here to defend herself. So okay, I'm sorry for being rude or whatever, but
Yeah, no, I'm just saying,
She's being a
the
bitch.
first half of the debate, it's her and Destiny are talking, and then you're sitting there most of the time, but then it's every once in a while you're just making certain faces, and you throw in immature jokes. It's okay, what are you really contributing? You know what I mean?
yeah.
But the second half was good. But
I
but
really
don't know-
admire
but I do
admire
wanna,
Zerka. I want to be him, and so I'm just really trying to embody that energy.
Okay, nice. Okay, good contribution. Anything
Yeah.
else?
You
No, but I
you need to do way more coke if you want that to be the.
True.
I'm working on it.
You're not doing enough coke. All right. Go
But I
ahead.
do want to bring up a point though. I do think me and Alex talked about this before. I think the best relationship that can work is if it's just one man and one woman, or one man and multiple women or open on the man's side, whatever it is. I think that two-way open relationship is not fair for the man. And the reason I say that is because, like, on the surface, it sounds fair because it's like, okay, the man does what he wants, the woman does what he wants, it's 50-50 equality. But the reason it's really not fair is because men have to put in a lot of work to get laid. Even like a really attractive man still has to like work to get laid. But even like an average woman could just go to the bar and like she's going to get laid. So to give an analogy, it's like if you said, okay, we both get $50, so it's fair because we both get $50, but you get your $50 by digging a ditch for 12 hours. I get my $50 just handed to me. So can you at least see that point? Like, I know you won't agree, but can you at least
Well, I mean, I can see it, but I mean, obviously you just have restrictions on the open relationship. One, just because a woman's in an open relationship doesn't mean she's going to every guy that propositions her. Like, women that are single don't every guy that propositions them. And then two, you could just have a rule that like the woman has to wait for a guy to find somebody to hook up with before the woman hooks up with somebody, right?
Yeah, okay. You could do all different types of stuff. Let me ask you, if it's not too personal, have you ever had times in your relationship that you've been like bothered by it, or have you been pretty cool with it the whole time?
No, I'm generally pretty cool. I like it's just something I don't think about much. Or like it doesn't bother me much, I guess.
Okay, cool. Trying to think what else from this debate. Oh yeah, so I heard you talk a few times like it's bad for a woman to get married young. She should get a career and all this stuff. But I want to know, like, what exactly is bad about a woman getting married young? Like,
I don't think there's anything necessarily bad. I'm just saying if we're saying we can brainwash women at 18 to go to college and get careers, you can also brainwash a woman to have a kid at 18 too, right? It could be good or it could be bad. Same thing with careers. It just depends. I think people need like more information to make informed decisions, and yeah.
Okay. Well, I remember you did say that this type of relationship has failed, but why do you think it's failed? Because I see it different. I don't think it's failed. I think it's just, there's a new trend now. But do you think do you think it failed, or do you think it's just a new trend?
Okay, I'm sorry. Wait. So, why is this type of relationship failed? I think because like people are changing. Like people, like all sorts of types of relationships are like changing and everything, right? Like it's not like the relationships 100 years ago look like the relationships 300 years ago, and the ones 300 years ago probably didn't look like the ones 1,000 years ago. And hunter-gatherer societies look right. Like just relationship styles, along with everything else, change as like economies grow, countries change, cultures develop. Like, yeah. Like, it's just a normal part of human development, I think, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, fair enough. Last thing I'll say before I sign off, it's not related to the debate, but since I'm talking with you, I want to tell you how much I respected it. Even though you're on the left, like you did defend Kyle Rittenhouse in the sense that you said, okay, if somebody's trying to hit you in the head with a skateboard, obviously you defend yourself. And I respected that, even though it should be common sense. I respect it, though, because like 90% of people on the left were saying, oh, what's the big deal if somebody's about to hit you in the head with a skateboard? They were like making fun of Kyle, like, oh, you're not tough enough.
Yeah, Jank said this. It was stupid, yeah.
Skateboard to the head. And it's like, dude, okay, everybody who was saying that, would they want to get hit in the head with a skateboard? Obviously not, so shut the fuck up. But anyway, Destiny, we probably don't see eye to eye on most things, but I respect you, man, because like I think you do try to be fair most of the time. I do think you're bad face sometimes, but most of the time I think you try to be fair.
Thanks.
And you're an entertaining guy to watch, so keep it up.
Thanks a lot.
Cool. All right, thanks, bro. Appreciate you.
Alex, I got time for one more question, I think, and then I have to take off for a second.
Let's do one more, and then I gotta dip too. Knight Bishop, I see you backstage. Unfortunately, there's people before you. As much as I would like to bring you on, I have to be fair. So let me bring on this person. Hey.
Oh, hey, man. What's up?
Not much, man.
So this is for either Destiny or Alex. So I just got divorced like less than a year ago, and it's been like 9 months. I was with that girl for like quite a long time. I'm only 27, but I met her when I was 19. And like I've had a hard time kind of acclimating with getting out there and trying to talk to people. So like, how long do you think is like a reasonable amount of time to wait before I try to like date again? Because it's been really weird. Like I get out of my marriage and then all of a sudden all this red pill shit shows up, and it's like, whoa, this is not what I expected. Like I didn't have no experience going to my marriage. Like I had like a year when I was 18, and like I had a couple hookups like right after the divorce, but
First, most important question is, when was the last time you checked her social media?
Her social media?
Yeah.
Like last week.
Okay,
Ooh.
so before you, nothing is abnormal about this, so this is super normal. Something that really sucks about modern relationships is once you break up from somebody, you have to like move on and get over them. But if you are constantly rechecking their social media, like, has she started dating somebody else yet?
Oh, like we broke up. She was already like, it was like a cheating thing.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Like monitoring her social media is the single most like you'd be better off not doing that and like doing meth. Like that would literally be healthy for your mind. Stalking social media. I don't want to say stalking like anything, but like constantly checking social media of an ex is the most mentally destructive thing you can do, and it's going to inhibit your ability to pursue other people because you're not even going to be in the right mind space to be okay with yourself, let alone have a version of you that you want to put out towards other people. It sounds dumb, and I don't usually talk like in spiritual woo woo, but there are energies that people emit, and people can definitely feel when you're not like completely over an ex or when you're not like the right headspace to see somebody else. It might come out in you being too distant to somebody. It might come out in you being too clingy towards somebody. It might come out in the way that you mention her. Like, yeah. So the first thing is I would say remove all mentions of her ever, and then wait a few weeks. My guess is, I'm guessing a little bit, but you're probably not like 100% over that divorce. Like it's still probably something that bothers you quite a bit.
Yeah, it was kind of an awkward, like weird thing because we were moving towards going into an open relationship.
Sure.
And we were in like a bad financial situation, and I was like, hey, before we move on to that, let's get our finances right so we can have our own house, because we were living with like her parents and stuff. And I was like, no shot are we doing an open relationship with me living in the same house as your parents.
Yeah.
And like, I'm not going to have a place to like have a base of operations or anything like that.
Sure.
And then she ended up having like an emotional
yeah, that's usually how it
someone.
goes. Yeah, I would also say that like for future relationships, if you want to try the open relationship stuff, that's fine, but that it has to be right at the start. You can't be in a monogamous relationship and then open it up 99% of the time, because if one person asks and the other person doesn't want to, now you're like completely.
Well, that was kind of
like,
the issue going in, is that when we were both, so I was best friends with her from like 17 to 19. She's bi, she's talked about doing a lot of stuff with girls, all this other stuff. Going forward from being friends into dating, we still talked pretty regularly about like exploring that, our youth, and like having sexual experiences and stuff like that. But then like as time went on, she like stopped wanting to talk about it. And like, even though we had kind of had open conversations about it throughout our relationship, moving into getting engaged, there was like a weird religious aspect between our families, because both of us came from extremely religious families.
Yeah.
So it was like, oh, if you want to live together, you have to be married. And we were both kind of like, like we kind of like each other. We have this kind of like open world where we think that we're going to be moving in this direction. But then after we got married, everything kind of went like flat. Like she never wanted to talk again about
I understand.
Girls or guys or anything.
Yeah, so I'd say number one, you gotta stop checking her social, get over the ex as quickly as possible. Or not, it doesn't have to be quick, but just stop checking that social media, block it, ignore whatever you have to do to not be tempted to check. Wait a couple of weeks for you to like fully process that and get over it, because you can spend 7 years, or you can spend 7 days getting over somebody, depending on how religiously you're checking their socials. And then past that, figure out yourself and figure out what you want in a future relationship. Like now, at least you have the ability to explore and do things without like having some weird religious buy-in or having to get married to pursue something in order to find something. But I would say step one is start by getting over the ex completely, and then Alex can say whatever.
My advice would be, number one, block her on all social media. Number two, immediately go out and start meeting other girls. The best way to get over an ex is by meeting another girl. I speak from personal experience, so yeah, that's what I would do if I was in your shoes.
Yeah, I go out once a week. There's like a local event that happens at one of the bars near my place. I live in Orlando, so there's stuff going on all the time. But like, just moving on to the portion of like, do I actually want to date? Do I want to just hook up? All this other weird shit. It's kind of taken me like the 9 months to like get my shit together, work out, make sure my job's right, make sure my college shit's right. Like all that stuff kind of like took this last 9 months, ever since that like final paperwork went through. So it's like, now I'm like, all right, well, there's so many options. There's so many things that I can like pursue. So I'm just kind of like, all right, I got to get the wheels rolling. So, but I appreciate you guys.
Cool, for sure. Thanks, buddy.
Yeah.